Well, good evening, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. Welcome in to our remote viewing show tonight. Gosh, I've got a great target for us tonight. So thank you guys so much for being here. I see everybody in that chat. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thanks to all my moderators, all my channel members. Man, you guys are the best. If you guys would like to become a member of my channel, I do put exclusive content up just for you guys. So just hit that join button on the channel. Also, yeah, y'all, I just came in from another soccer game. So I am a mom, number one. I'm the number one soccer mom right now. And my son's actually not so number one. My son's out there playing and I'm here right now. But yeah, this is a busy week. And so yeah, just slid in again from soccer. So I'm a little bit hot and a little bit tired tonight, but we're going to get through this because God, I am so excited about this one. We're going to be talking about the grave digging Dogman tonight. Okay. And I know you guys are super into the Dogman phenomenon. And I'm going to say, if this is a real Dogman, okay, and we're going to go over my data because I did remote view this. This is my remote viewing target. If this is a real Dogman, this is going to be some of the best Dogman evidence out there. In my opinion, this might be the best Dogman evidence out there. And we're going to get into the history behind this. I have been in contact with the woman who actually owns this video, and we're going to talk about that. I actually invited her on the show tonight, and Colleen can't be here tonight. She's actually a cryptid field researcher, just like myself, out of Ohio, and she's speaking at I think she's at the Salt Fork Bigfoot conference this weekend. So she's leaving in the morning, and hopefully we're going to have her on the show soon. Okay, and we'll sit down with Colleen. She's been searching for and chasing after these dogmen in Ohio for several years, she said. All right, so yeah, we got a lot to talk about tonight, and if you guys would like to follow along with my data. Okay, I do have a Patreon. All of my data is listed in my Patreon. That's the Cryptid Huntress over on Patreon. Shout out to all my members. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Also, if you guys want to follow along with all my shows, you know, you can go to my website. That's thecryptidhuntress.com. And I have a shop that's called War Woman Goods. And yes, I do send out free Cryptid Huntress merch with every purchase. So thank you guys so much for your support there as well. Okay. Oh, and all the events that I'm going to be at, I just made this right before the show. If you guys would like to come see me in person, this is what I have on my calendar so far for this year. Now, I have some other things that are not official yet that I can't announce, but this is what I can announce today. May 10th through 12th, next weekend, I will be at the SOR fan party, Spaced Out Radio in Reno, Nevada. You guys come see me there. And then July 15th through 18th, the Full Disclosure Now conference in St. Pete, Florida. I'm going to be speaking at the August 1st through 4th Appalachia Starseed Reunion in North Carolina with Barry Littleton. Barry Littleton will be at the St. Pete event and the North Carolina event. And then I'm going to be at the East Tennessee Squatch Out in September. So if you guys want to come hang out with the Cryptid Huntress, y'all come see me at one of those events. Okay, and I would love to hang out with you guys and just get to know you. Okay, so let's get on with our show tonight because I got a lot to unpack on this one. And like I said, if this is a real Dogman, okay, this is going to be some of the best evidence I have seen so far. And I've been doing this for a while. Okay, I've been doing this for a long time. Not the shows, but the research. Okay. All right, so a few years ago, I'm going to give you the background as to what we're looking at tonight. A few years ago, two girls were on their dinner break from a local restaurant in Akron, Ohio, taking a drive through Greenlawn Cemetery when they noticed what they thought was a dirty lady, a woman that was dirty, as in like covered in mud, a dirty lady digging into the ground with her hands beside a mausoleum. They began recording the black figure who was digging with their she wasn't digging with their cell phone. They recorded it with their cell phone. Some of the field researchers that went out, and I'm talking about Colleen, okay, who I'm going to talk about in just a few minutes. They estimate that the arms of the being, whatever this was, would be around 32 to 35 inches long to allow it to dig a 21-inch deep hole while sitting on its knees. This dirty lady, in air quotes, was seemingly no lady, but what many have labeled as the grave-digging Dogman. Okay, now what is this? What is this creature? Was this a person? Was it a hoax? Was it a Sasquatch? Was it a Dogman? Like, what is this thing? The video of this, okay, all my Patreon members have all the videos. Okay, in my Patreon, I have the original video. I also have the Thinker Thunker video on there. Now, Thinker Thunker does analysis of Bigfoot videos and any kind of cryptid videos. He did a great one on this, and I did put it in the live chat tonight. So if you guys want to scroll up to the top of the chat, Thinker Thunker's video with his analysis is in the chat tonight. So you guys check that out, and it'll show you partial, almost the whole video as well. Okay, so y'all check that out. To help me talk about this tonight, I have my friend Barry Littleton here. He actually has covered this on his YouTube channel before. This is about 4 years old. Okay, so this case is about 4 years old or more. And he has covered this, and he knows a little something about cryptids. He's one of the most cutting-edge researchers in the field, and I am proud to have him here and call him my friend. Please help me welcome to the show tonight, my buddy, Barry Littleton. Hey, Barry.
Hey, what's up, Justin? Excuse me. Hey, this thing is flashing over here saying the recording is not started.
Oh, it started. It's live.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. I didn't want you to
miss live.
This,
let me check.
Cutting-edge information. Well, thank you for having me on again. It's been a couple of busy few days, and thank you to everybody in the chat and all the people that subscribed, and honored to be here again. I am a little disappointed that the owner of this isn't here, though. I'm going to be honest, unless he's going to be here.
Oh yeah, I was hoping. Oh, you just actually scared me. I looked over and I was like, did I just not record this show? But no, we got a big old crowd tonight, and so we're recording. Yes. So Colleen is. I've talked to Colleen on at least 2 occasions now, and it's Colleen Norris. She's with the Northeast Ohio Cryptid Research Team. Okay, and a really cool lady. Okay, really cool lady. She's been very forthcoming with information about this, and she wants the truth to be put out there. And she's just like us, Barry. She just wants to know the truth and to try to uncover some of these mysteries. Now, she did have she's going to the Salt Fork Bigfoot Conference tomorrow. Shout out to everybody at the Salt Fork Bigfoot Conference, y'all. I love it. Y'all know I'm a Bigfoot field researcher, so I'm all about it. But yeah, so hopefully we'll get her on the show soon to come talk about it. But I do have what she wrote about this on the Thinker Thunker. You know, Thinker Thunker put out a really good video on this and did some serious analysis on this video. And I did put it in the live chat tonight. Okay, so if you guys want to scroll up to the top, it is there. He did a great analysis on it. I
wouldn't have found out about that even way back then. You split that out, and I saw it immediately. And he put it on Patreon first, and I was like, whoa, pretty interesting. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no, it's okay. So Thinker Thunker put out a really good video about 4 years ago, and Colleen is the person who commented on it, and he pinned her comment at the top, and I actually printed her comment out. So we're going to discuss that tonight, because she gives a complete breakdown of everything that happened in that comment. And so we're going to talk about that. But this is one of those coordinate remote viewing targets which got some interesting data. Okay, very interesting data. on it. And I think, I mean, and that's why we're here, is to get the data. Okay. But it's also to learn about this and to we're going to try to figure out what this thing is. Okay. What are your thoughts? Well, first of all, T-Bone, thank you for that super sticker. I appreciate that. Barry, what are your thoughts on this video? Do you think this could be a real authentic Dogman?
I think so. Personally, I think so. And, given it that it is what appears to be to me, well, I've had an experience, all right, with a cryptid that was in a graveyard myself, and it wasn't a Dogman, but it was a creature that I cannot put in the genus record. All right. To me, it appears like, what wasn't there like a fire or something in that area at the time, just around that time?
There had been a devastating, a massive fire in the surrounding woods, and they said that it could have displaced some of the animals, and even potentially the Dogman.
And to me, that wolves themselves, contrary to what a lot of people say, wolves themselves are scavengers, and they would rob a grave. And if you're dealing with an issue of hunger, that's very, very possible there. And then we've got the other things that seem to be dark energy and rituals that happen in cemeteries. And, it's, we go into the more dark stuff, but that doesn't mean that's what this is. It could have been just an animal, looking food or whatever it's doing. But anyway, I do believe it's a real video though. And I think it's a real creature. I don't think it's a person in a suit. And, when it first came out, a lot of people were arguing, Thinker saying that it was a Bigfoot, a Sasquatch. And that doesn't look like a Sasquatch to me. I see a muzzle. It doesn't look like even a type, a type 3 with a muzzle. It doesn't look like one of those either. That looks like a Dogman to me, like a howling.
Look at his ears. See how the ears go up on its head? There's a really great, it goes this way, backwards. So Colleen sent me this picture actually, and just a little while ago. This is one. It's just a close up of that from the video. Okay, and this was shot on one of those girls' cell phones. Now here's the story behind this. So now these two girls, it was two girls now, and I've seen different versions of this. Okay, because online, if you go to some websites, you look this up, or you go to the YouTube, some people say that it was like a mom driving her two daughters around. Well, Colleen said it was two girls. They must have been teenagers, and they worked at a local restaurant in Ohio, in Akron. I think is how you pronounce it. And they were on their break. Okay, and so they got in their car. Apparently, it was just kind of a thing. When you're young, when I was a teenager, we used to cruise around town. Okay, we used to just cruise around town. I grew up in a small town, and so it's not uncommon to get in your car and just go somewhere. Just to go drive circles around town. That's what we used to do.
Graveyard during break.
I mean, go try to sneak a cigarette or something.
Smoke break to me, Jones. That sounds like a smoke break. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm not saying I did, but I'm saying the other kids might have done a cigarette break or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, cigarettes.
Yeah, cigarettes. So anyways, so they took their break and they drove into Greenlawn Cemetary. Okay, Greenlawn Cemetery. And as I drove in, I mean, the video, okay, so you guys go to the Thinker Thunker, I've got a link in there. I'm not going to play the video here on the show tonight, but go to click on it, and they start saying, one of the girls goes, "What is that lady doing?" So immediately they pick up, this is a female of some sort, but they think that it's like a disheveled looking woman, okay, that's covered in dirt or something, digging a hole in the ground. But okay, so I mean, I gotta tell you, Barry, there's a million things that would go through my head at this point. Why would any person in their of sound mind be digging in a graveyard with their bare hands in the middle of the day? I mean, unless if you've lost your mind, okay, you know what I mean? It's not normal. And I want to stress and to highlight that where this was digging was not where a body was laying. Okay, you see all these little markers right here. those are the markers where cremains are buried. So cremains are where people have been cremated. Okay, and they're just the ashes, and they're probably in an urn, I guess. And this is what I've been told. Those are just places where there are cremains, not actual caskets with bodies in them or anything like that. But it's beside a mausoleum where there are bodies, I would assume. So, but this thing is just sitting there digging with its bare hands. Okay, and from what I read, I'm going to go through and read what Colleen wrote. Okay, on the Thinker Thunker website here, because I think this is important. She said, okay, so this is from her comment on that video. She said the girls were on their dinner break from working at a restaurant nearby. They were driving around, passing time. The cemetery was large with many paved roads. It's a memorial park. The building that it was next to is a 500-foot-long above-ground mausoleum. The graves that it dug around were cremated remains. There was no grave where it was digging. It was an empty plot. The cemetery has a lot of security cameras, but it was not filmed by them, which is interesting. The people in the car said they were watching it dig while it stopped. And after a few minutes, they even thought about videoing it. So like they were there for a while looking at it, and they didn't start videoing it for a few minutes. They did say they thought it was a dirty, unkempt lady, but they were fascinated by the digging by its hands. Remember, it broke through hard sod with its fingertips. You and I both know that we would have broken our nails and fingers if we tried to do that. Now, Colleen writes that she saw the impressions from its knee in the dirt. This is what the red circle is about. Okay. She said it did not lie on its belly. We estimate that the arms would be 32 to 35 inches long to allow it to dig 21 inches deep while sitting on its knees. I also know that it did not use any digging tools. There was no compacted dirt that you would get from levering a shovel. It was seen in the early spring at 7:40 p.m. on a Friday because they had to be back at work by 8. She promised that she would never say their names publicly. She said the front of the cemetery is Akron, but the back is in fact Norton, Ohio. And she said there are plenty of sightings and reports of something that matches the thing's description, something of the land. Know the wooded pockets and areas of cover and concealment. I grew up there, I know. Remember, we never called it a Bigfoot, but it's not a dirty lady. Okay, she said, remember, it's not a dirty lady, but they've never called it a Bigfoot. Okay, now you got to think, Barry, Ohio is where they have a lot of Dogman reports. A lot of Dogman reports. Okay, and so and then she wrote what her theory is on this. Our theory is that they were moved from their home territory by a large brush fire and then blocked from returning by a huge highway widening project. They could not cross back under a certain bridge. We don't think that it was digging something up, but it was digging to bury something. There is no doubt that it was very thin, almost starving. Could it have lost an infant? And could that have been a baby sitting in the grass? Because whatever it is isn't there. She has a lot of information about it. And hopefully we'll get Colleen on the show one day. We're gonna talk about this further. And what she's referring to there is, let's see if I have a picture of this. There is something that looks like a small black object in the background. Now, she said it's not there today. Now, this is just her hypothesis. Okay, this is her theory. She's not sure. But it's an interesting take on it. It's an interesting theory. Maybe because when I first saw this video, Barry, I thought that it was trying to dig up a body to eat it or something. That's what I thought.
Necromancy, yes. And wolves will do that. Wolves are,
Wolves.
and even, they're scavengers.
Oh.
I'm just saying that's one of their natural things that they do. When they're hungry, they will dig up bodies. You can look that up on the internet. So I mean, it's just something that I'm just throwing that out there. And that could be a kid over there. I mean, it looks a little small to me to be a child. I don't know, but it just kind of seems like I would just be, if I was avoiding people, I would be really reluctant to bury my child in a human graveyard. where I could be seen doing it or where it could get dug back up. That's just my opinion on it. It seems like almost that's more of a thing of hunger. Now I have a question because it's been years since I watched the whole thing. I'm sorry I didn't have time to watch it before we did this. Again, I seem to remember, didn't the thing appear to have like claws that was digging it? Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
You can see its claw. I mean, you can see its. I mean, it is digging through the ground. I mean, this is okay for anyone who has ever dug a hole in the ground at all. Okay, I have had to dig holes. I mean, I remember like when my pets would pass away or something, I'd go out and try to dig a hole. It's God forbid in the wintertime. It's hard to dig a hole. Okay, with a shovel. With a shovel, it's hard to dig a hole. Imagine taking your hands, your fingers, like Colleen had said in that comment on the Thinker Thunker video, it would have ripped our fingernails off. It would have ripped a human's fingernails off and probably cut the fingers and everything. That's not easy to dig and scoop. And that thing was like digging and scooping and dirt was flying. I mean, this is the end result right here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's a lot of freaking, to do that with your hands, that's superhuman. Okay. If it were a human, it's superhuman. It's not a human though. I've got some data on this, y'all.
I've become always just absolutely fascinated by the amount of strength that's exhibited by especially Sasquatch and these things. I posted that article that was from 1934, Organian News. And they had said on the other part that I didn't get up, it says they're saying how the Native Americans came and held like some meetings in the town and told them to stop trying to hunt the Sasquatch because they didn't know what they were dealing with, and that they were people, a tribe with superpowers basically, and that they had each of them had about 10 times the strength of a person. That's a lot. That's like beyond vampiric strength. That's Hulk strength. Anyways, let's go to the data. I want to hear it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I mean, I guess, let's just get into the data because this is really interesting because you had mentioned, and this was remote viewed in February of 2024. Okay. So this was, what is it now? Starting May. Okay. So this was it was a couple months ago. When I had remote viewed this came in, it was one of my blind targets. It was just a set of numbers that came out of the pool. Okay, this was something that was assigned a while back, or it was put out there. Assigned some numbers is what I mean. Okay, and okay, so let's get to it. Now, all of this data is in my Patreon. Now, Barry, I gotta say, I actually did a deep mind probe on whatever that is. I picked up on a consciousness, a person. What I didn't know what it was because I thought it was like a person maybe, and I was asking like, we'll get to it. I asked, what are you looking for? Because I saw there was something that was looking for something, and I got some answers. Okay, so this is going to be really interesting. Okay, so for this target. It was that incident. Okay, it was the incident of the girls on the phone or whatever that the target is whatever was digging. Okay, it was whatever was digging. That was what I was honed in on. Okay, now some of my sensory data. Let me take that comment down. It's so funny. You don't want to mess up your Walmart manicure. That's right. Okay, so some of my sensory data was flowing, moving, surprised, confused, black, round, long, digging, picked up on digging, deep, and looking. Okay, so looking. Now, for my AOL, okay, I remember hearing digging to China. I know that sounds weird. When you're a kid, like when I was a kid and we would like dig a hole in the backyard, like one of my parents would be like, what are you digging for? Try to get to China? So I actually wrote down China. So I was 100% picking up on digging deep, digging into something. But I wrote down dirt, keyhole. I don't know what keyhole it means, but keyhole, I don't know how that pertains. I wrote down China. I wrote deep dive. I was actually looking at like I wrote down buried treasure. Okay, it was part of it. I wrote down dog and wolf. That was part of my analytic overlay. I wrote down dog and wolf, and you had just mentioned wolf. And you said that wolf. What did you say about wolves, Barry?
They dig up bodies. They're scavengers.
Okay.
Isn't that just delightful? Nothing like a little necromancy, you know.
Okay. Well, I heard clairaudiently, saving for later. Saving for later. Okay. I also was picking up on like toys or something. I wrote down the word toys, and something that was imperative. Like there was something that was very important. Okay. Whatever I was looking at was very important. Okay. Something that was whatever was going on was important. Okay. Then I started getting on. I picked up on a lot of data that had to do with danger and something that was very dangerous. Okay. Very dangerous. But I was okay. So part of my emotional. Yes.
When you say dangerous, was it that the creature, the target was dangerous, or surround, or something that was in danger? Which do you think? Sorry, let me just quick that.
Well, I think whatever I was looking at was dangerous. Whatever I was actually viewing was dangerous. Okay, and I actually, for part of my sensory data, I wrote praying. Praying. Okay, that's interesting, right? Praying, and then my emotional impact. Okay, that's one of my, when I'm drawing out my charts, that's one of my columns is emotional impact, and that's how I'm feeling. That's what is how I'm being affected by it. And I wrote down scared and confused. So scared and confused. And then I wrote down dirt digging. And I started thinking, but you hear about dirt digging, that's like when people try to find dirt on you so they can blackmail you or something. Like that's kind of what I thought I was writing that for, I guess, after I analyzed it. But now I know it was actually digging dirt, literal dirt. Okay, so, but when I wrote down dangerous, I was picking up on a being. I was picking up on something that was living. What do you call it? Sentient or something? Like it had a consciousness. Okay, so I immediately wrote down DMP, which is Deep Mind Probe. And I got into that and I did my automatic writing and boom, I said, what are you looking? I literally wrote down, what are you looking for? Okay. And this is what I heard. Okay. So like when I do a deep mind probe, I'm usually hearing, I can see, I can feel, you know, and I heard, what I heard was putting something inside. Okay. Putting something inside for later, putting something inside for later. And then I heard save it for later. Okay, so that's what I heard. And then I was picking up on fire data and fire, like a fire station or something. I don't know what that has to do with this. Something that was hot. I was picking up on like hot sensory data. And then I heard clairaudiently, I heard not a person. This is not a person. And because I think in my mind, I was seeing like a person. I thought I was viewing a person. But then I heard and I wrote down not a person. So it wasn't a person, Barry. Okay. But I had written down earlier dog and wolf, right? But this is not a person like I thought it was. This is a dog or wolf. And I wrote down fire station. There may be a fire station in the area. I don't know. I haven't looked at the map. But then I got some other data too. Okay. But that's kind of those are the main points. That's the gist of it, right?
Come on, Jones. What's the other data? Lay it on us, please.
Well, it was like fire station stuff, like a fire department. Okay, so I think there's a fire station nearby, but I don't know. That was just what I was picking up on, and I wrote down the last things that I wrote were like error, like something that was wrong or a mistake, like an error. I wrote down fast forward, and I wrote close out. And so when I heard usually like I'll get like a sign to close the target down. And when I heard close out, like I wrote down closed out, and so I closed the target down. I closed the energy of like me remote viewing because it's not like I'm taking orders from anybody or anything, but like I'm taking the sign that it's time to close this target out. So I closed it out at that point. Okay. Because I felt like I had gotten enough data at this point. I didn't know what I was looking at, but I was like, okay. There's something that has to do that's very dangerous. There's dirt digging going on. It could be a literal sense. It could be a figurative sense. But there was something that was being put away and saved for later. Okay, and that was pretty much the target right there. But I literally clear audibly heard not, what did I say? Not a person. Okay, so it's not a person. Yeah, my gut said to close out. What do you think about all that, Barry? Or do you see any connections to like what the target actually was?
I think this is very, very interesting, to be honest with you. And it takes it a little broader than what I was thinking, to be honest.
Really?
And when looking at now, it makes me reconsider what Colleen said. Okay, but this gets really, really strange. So either it's putting something that is of value to consume, to eat for hunger, or it's something of value in another way. And now looking back at that object back there, I can only speak for myself, my sight, but it doesn't look like a kid. But now you're looking at that's a place where urns are put.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something it has and something ashes in it? Something that, you know what I mean? Or you said a key. You said a key. You got
Keyhole.
a key or something like that.
I wrote keyhole. That was part of the first part of my data.
So now it becomes an object of not just what is it, but what is it bearing or what is it trying to get? Either or. What is it? I mean, that's really interesting. And the confusion and the panic. Yeah. And that sounds like something that would be indicative of wildlife that's around a forest fire. You're picking up, who knows, I'm sure they try to fight that fire or something. So I mean, everything to me seems like it's lining up, but it becomes a question of what is it bearing or trying to get, and what's causing the panic of it besides the fire. And enough to where I'm just saying that these things, it appears Dogman isn't quite trying to avoid humans the way Sasquatch do. Not quite to that degree, but they're not, but I can't see them not paying attention unless they're in a panic or something when people are driving by on a break for work, driving through a cemetery. When I was a teenager and we were driving through a cemetery on break, I know what we was doing, but we ain't gonna go there. Anyway, it's times like that you come up on weird stuff like that. So anyway, yeah. But seriously, I don't know. It kind of takes me a different couple of ways, but it leaves me questioning what was it burying or trying to dig up. I kind of just assumed it was because of the forest fire. It was a hunger factor. Did you say you got hunger on there in your data? Did you get anything about hungry or starving or anything like that? Okay, so that kind of helps to cross that out. That would come through very clearly as part of the panic would be hunger with it, don't you think?
Yes, I think so too. I would have picked up on that, I think, because the target was like all the circumstances surrounding whatever the heck that was, and what is that? It's whatever that was. I only was picking up on, and I did, like I told you, I did the deep mind probe, okay, and it said it was putting something inside, so it was like it was burying something. It was burying something, is what it was doing. Okay, but it was saving it for. Okay, but here's the thing: it said I also heard saving for later. Okay, so now if it's burying something, that's one thing. Okay, it's going to leave it there. It was saving it for later. Like a dog does. Food. That's what my dog does.
For food, right? Saves food, right?
I mean, it didn't say food. I never wrote down food at all.
No, I was saying, but what does your dog save for later? Food?
Oh, rawhides and things to chew on. Not food. Oh, she eats her food right up. She eats the food. So things like her toys, and I wrote down toy. Toy is actually in the data. I don't think Dogman play with toys, though. I don't know. That's weird.
What's interesting? Taking this maybe a step further. This was something probably Dennis Carroll could quote on, I think, probably. The amount of dark magic and things that happen around cemeteries and within cemeteries means that this being could actually be something of consciousness and from ceremonies and things done around there. And also taking a step forward, why would this thing be doing this in a human graveyard? What is the connection with humans? And if you're dealing with some sort of a shapeshifter that is actually, its other form is humanoid, is that someone that they know and love is buried there? Are they trying to bury someone with loved ones? Is there a connection in that way? We have to take that into account. Is that some type of a shapeshifter, a skinwalker out there that has another form that's humanoid, and there's a humanoid connection there? I'm just throwing that out there because we got to try to observe,
Yeah. Well, we've got to hit this from every angle. Okay. That's what we do, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That might be one to ask Dennis, to be honest.
Well, Dennis is in the chat.
I'll ask right now. Dennis, how many rituals satanic are often affiliated with cemeteries? Like overall, I know it's a ground that it happens a lot on.
A lot. Yeah, well, I didn't even think about that until you and I were messaging earlier today, Barry, and you had mentioned the demonic aspect of this. Okay, and I had not really gone there and thought about that because that wasn't in the data. However, you hear a lot about graveyard dirt rituals. Okay, graveyard dirt. I don't know how those work or whatever, but I know there are people who consider themselves to be witches and warlocks and whatever, and they go take graveyard dirt. Okay, and I know people personally who practice voodoo and hoodoo, and they will take things into a graveyard to have their ancestors deal with stuff. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know a lot about it. I can't really even speak on it, but I know it happens. Right?
There's that, and even in like Bram Stoker's Dracula and the vampires, they had to have some of the dirt from their own grave in their coffin for them to be able to truly regenerate in there and sleep in there. They had to have some of their graves. So they always had dirt from their own original grave with them that was put in the grave. That's very interesting. I mean, that's something I always remember hearing, definitely. So, I wish I was more of an expert on dark rituals, but I just don't know.
I know, me too. I'm glad I'm not. Honestly. Well, we have Dennis here. Man, I need to send Dennis a link to come on here and join us tonight. Yeah, he says death spells and curses have to be buried to be effective.
True.
Really? And they have to. Okay.
Yeah. Some, but they're death spells that can come from both corn magic and crystal magic. If you got a real powerful sorcerer that puts one of those in your path and you step on it or grab it, you're finished. And those are that's almost Toltec related type of ways of death with spells. But yeah, that not good. I think all to be avoided.
Well, we don't want to think. It sucks to think about this stuff, okay? But if we're, in doing the research, we have to kind of look at all this stuff, okay? Because it's like, why? First of all, there was no body. That was an empty burial plot. There was nothing in it. And if it is a dog man, if it is a canine of any sort, and I wrote down dog and wolf, it would smell what it's digging right there. I think it would know. They can smell your fear. They can smell anything. They have extraordinary senses when it comes to smelling. Okay, like I think that it would have had to know that there was nothing in that area right there digging. So, and here's another thing, like for people who think, sorry, having crashes over here. For people who think that this might be a human, that it could have been a human, it's just not humanly possible to do stuff like this, to dig like that. And I think that we kind of stated that in the beginning. I don't think this could have been a human. And wolves don't have hands, right, Barry? Wolves don't have hands. That looks like a wolf or a dog. But wolves, I mean, they can dig like that. But the way it was digging, it looked like thumbs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know, right?
I was younger when I was, I guess it was around probably 20 or so. One of the things that we had to do, we had to actually walk through a graveyard at 3 a.m. It was a test of your mettle, okay? Alone. And hey, you can do it or you can't. It tests the brother's testicular fortitude. Put it to you like that. Either you can do it or you can't. But it wasn't when I was walking through one, but actually I was driving through one. Well, there's actually a street in my city where there's two graveyards that are like side by side. There's a street that goes through them, all right? The major street. It's late at night. I was driving through there, and I have this creature that runs out from one graveyard running across the street to the other, and it stops right in front of my car. I got to hit the brakes, and it looks at me and then goes on. And this thing tripped me out, okay, because it looked like it was an orange fox, but it was almost the size of a coyote, like a smaller coyote. But this was a fox. It had like a white belly on it, so it wasn't a red fox. It's more orange, but it had an orange and white striped tail. And I cannot find any type of a fox that looks like that or is the size of that. And every now and again, sometimes you'll hit something that just stops your world. And that's what that did. I'm looking at it. I must have stood there for a second in a major street after this thing went past through. It's so late, nobody was around. But that is, the first thing that hit my mind was, is that a grave robber of some type? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was the first thought that passed my mind.
Well, okay, so I've been doing little segments with some of the guys from with Kenny Star Fox from the North American Dogman Project, and I think we're gonna start doing like every other week. I'm gonna be doing a little segment with him on the weekends. Okay, and he was telling me that there are reports of dogmen, or what people consider to be dogmen, that look like foxes. Okay, so God, I always say this, we live in such a weird world, okay, with so many magnificent creatures out there, but he said that some of them are described as looking kind of like foxes. So go figure.
I've heard that before. I've read that before. That's just interesting, and I don't know where to take it in terms of it. People say it was a coyote you didn't recognize. It was not a coyote. I know coyotes. They're around here too, but in fact, we have a thing with a whole project about urban foxes and urban coyotes in my city, because there are quite a few of them. But anyway, I don't know. That's not the first time I come in contact with some type of a canine type like cryptid of some type. But I don't know. I mean, it's looking food for thought. It didn't stand up or anything, but it was awful big for a fox, and it's one of those things that just you never forget. And I went immediately back then. I went to the library and hit the microfiche. For those of us old enough to remember microfiche to figure out what it was,
Oh man, I'm checking out all these comments tonight. We have the best, we have a lot of critical thinkers in the chat, and people that are watching tonight. I am so impressed with a lot of these comments tonight. Auntie Venom, hey, thank you for being here. She says, if it killed someone and buried the remains on top of an unmarked grave, I just lost that one. Oh, here it goes. A cadaver dog would be expected to alert there now. I think Auntie Venom has worked with cadaver dogs before, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so she would know about that. Now, K. McC. Okay, K. McC. Wolves are very sensitive to their pack as well. They do mourn their own. They mourn their own. Okay, and so if it were to be burying something, it's young, it's child, it would be mourning it. But here's the thing, Barry, it wasn't covered, and there was no body in the hole. Okay, it was just a hole with nothing in it. Okay, now Colleen would have told us if there was something in it. She would have said,
"Is that your canine? Is your canine in there?"
Yes, my dog is behind me.
Okay,
yeah,
I saw that thing move back there. I was like, okay, man, this started to trip. Now it's here to trip a little bit. Okay, sorry, keep going.
My dog.
I was like, man, okay.
That's my German Shepherd.
The painting just went like that. I was like, what? Okay, sorry. Anyway, go ahead. That threw me off.
That's my German Shepherd. She's as close to a wolf as you're ever gonna get back there. That's Freya. Yeah, but so she's like, oh, I've had enough. You're always on a show, Mom. Okay, but anyways. So the hole, we got to look at this too. The hole was not like covered. Like, okay, so if it's digging up a hole to bury something like a human would do, like to bury its young, why would it not cover it too? There was nothing in there, right? So, I mean, and somebody in the chat had mentioned that earlier. They're like, well, it wasn't like covered. What was in it? There was nothing in it. All right, so why? And when I was remote viewing this, and I did a deep mind probe on whatever I honed in on, it said it meant to put something inside, and it was saving something for later. I mean, I'm just wondering, because when contacted, if you watch that video from Thinker Thunker, it said the woman she said she was Miss Thinker Thunker. Okay. And hey, William, it was Miss Thinker Thunker. She said that I guess she had contacted the cemetery, or someone had contacted the cemetery. They said that it was not a grave digger. It was none of their people. And they pretty much immediately, like, I guess it was the next day, they covered it up. Okay, so they had to go in there. I mean, this caused quite the ruckus. Okay, because they had to go cover this up. It's like, what the heck? That's not just like a normal dog dug hole. Okay. And the fact that it's like in the exact spot where there's no body, no cremains, makes it just odd. I mean, it's all odd. It's all very odd.
That's an awful big lump of dirt to be dug up by any hand. That's
well, and look,
that's for sure associated with that incident.
Absolutely, this is it. And okay, and here's the thing: do you see the dirt on the pavement? That's where the dirt went. It didn't just go like there. It flung the dirt up onto the pavement right there in front of the mausoleum.
Okay.
Yeah, the girls did interrupt it probably, but I don't. You know what? That's interesting. The truth is in the background. It's the girls. I don't even think it looked at them. I don't even. It didn't stop when they were looking at it, because when you watch the video, it just continually digs and digs and it doesn't stop. And Thinker Thunker had an interesting comment. He says it's very sad. He said it feels desperate. Okay, it's like desperation, it's sadness, and you can see it. You can feel it in the video. Almost like there's just a sadness to it. It's not like, oh, I'm digging for a good time over here. You know, it's like there's something. It's doing it like purposefully. You know, so I don't know. There's a lot to think. Urgency and panic. And that's what I was feeling, actually. Okay, so when I was remote viewing this, I actually did write down. Well, I wrote down scared and confused. Okay, I was scared and confused. Not urgent and panicked, but I was scared and confused, which is pretty close. Okay, because I was picking up on that.
Somebody wants to see the video clip again.
Okay, let me see.
Thought I saw that.
I'm not going to show it on the channel, but what I can do is put a link in the description, in the live chat, like I did, or one of my mods can. If you guys want to find that on there and stick it in there in the chat tonight. My computer's acting up. It's a little slow down here. I've been uploading all my videos to. I've been uploading all my videos to. What is it? Spreaker. Okay, so I can have. I think it's like season 17 or something of my podcast.
Really?
And Rumble. Yeah, I've been putting all my videos on Rumble too, so I'm trying to catch up. So my computer is super slow right now. But yeah, if somebody else wants to do that, just look up Cemetery Dogman from Akron, Ohio, and you'll find that video. There's a lot of videos of this. Okay, there's a lot of videos, but yeah, that's it. It is clearly, okay, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to go ahead and state publicly, I do believe this is a Dogman. I think this is a real live
You going that far out of the limb, Jones? You going that far out there? You think it's a Dogman, do you? Are you pulling my leg over here?
I can't even get this right. I think that's a Dogman. I think that's a Dogman. I really do, and I don't always come out and be like, "This is definitely that." But I think if there were ever a Dogman on film or on camera, I think that's a Dogman. I think that's it. I think that's a Dogman, and that's and that comes from. I mean, I have a lot of experience in the field. Okay, I'm no expert at all by any means. I honestly don't know anything. But my personal opinion, I think if there's a Dogman, that's probably a Dogman right there. Okay, but that, like I said, that's just my opinion. Oh man, hey William Nighthawk is in the chat tonight. Hey William.
Sorry to mute myself, man. I can't. He said, "I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna state this for." Okay, that's good. Anyway, all right. Oh, they caught me off guard with that one. I laughed like that for a minute. Thank you. Anyway.
Oh, good. Maureen's got the video in here too. She's got the video clip. Thank you so much, Maureen. I appreciate you. There's video clips in the chat. If you guys want to go, just go chill. Go find it in there. It's in there. So yeah. I'm trying to. I know. And I see Cryptoville has it in here too.
Joe Jones, are you sure it could be a werewolf? Are you sure? Definitely Dogman.
It's definitely. I'm gonna say I don't think it's a person. And hey, this is one of my very good old school friends. What's up, Daryl? In the chat. Everybody give a big old shout out to my friend.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, right.
Damn that all the time. Yeah, bow wow.
I don't know. Oh my gosh, you're so silly.
Something else that immediately. Okay, I'm trying to get serious here.
It's serious.
So I'm sorry. I'm trying not to laugh like that on these shows because it gets. I
mean, this is serious, but it's also we gotta laugh too. We're talking about Dogman, Barry. Come on.
So, one of the first things I did notice was that it had, and you'd mentioned this on one of your shows that you were doing with somebody, but the tuft of hair on the back of the neck. And the first time I had seen that was on that 1987 show that I liked that came out on Fox called Werewolf with John J. York from General Hospital. Anyway, that show had Chuck Connors as the bad werewolf, the rifleman. But the thing of this is those werewolves were designed by, I think it was Rick Baker, and he had something like 24 hours to do it or something, 48 hours. And that's why they said that these thing had where the suit connected with the actors, why they had that lump back there. But that was the first werewolf I ever saw like that. And since then, a lot of them started having that. But now we're finding out that that's actually a natural attribute of Dogman, right? Isn't that interesting? I know those werewolves look like Dogmen, straight up. I sent you some clips of that. Once you get over the cheesy 80s thing with it, it very much, and I found it interesting when he was confronting Chuck Connors, and he told him, he said, you're not a man masquerading as a wolf. You're a wolf masquerading as a man. He was very evil. Well, it's just food for thought, when dealing with these quote unquote skinwalkers.
Yeah. Well, okay. Could this be a skinwalker, Barry? What do you think?
I think the odds are high based on what is the obsession with the human burial ground. There's a connection with the human thing, whether it's the thing it's burying or the thing it's digging up, but still the graveyard thing. Yeah, it's just very interesting to me. And even if that even that is with satanic and black magic, that ties right in there with the graveyard, and all that may not be the separate things that we're thinking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know. It's super interesting. I mean, I don't know. I think that there's a whole lot more that we need to continue to look into, and I think it's important that I'd like to talk to Colleen about this, okay? Because she is right in the mix of it all, and she has been studying this for years. She's been searching for these things. Like, she literally told me. And shout out to Colleen. I'm sure you're watching. I don't know if you're watching live, but I can't wait to talk to you in person and hopefully bring you on the show. So we can really get into details with or dive deep into the details.
I wonder if she got to inspect the grave, the area after it was done.
Yes,
if it's soon enough to look at it.
Well, she's the one that took these pictures. She's the one that took these pictures. Okay, and so and that's why she had mentioned that there was a knee print. Okay, and so that's what this red circle is. You can see where the knee was placed on the ground as it was digging. Okay, I mean, here's another thing. Okay, when we dig as humans, I would dig from the front back towards me, right? This thing was digging from side to side. Have you noticed that? Look at that. If it had its knee right there, that means it was digging from, or maybe not. I don't know. It looks like the knee would be facing like horizontal to it, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna dig like a dog, kind of. because it's going to be harder to dig this way. I mean, I'm no expert on digging, y'all. I am not. I am not a dig expert. But
was the wind?
Digging like this, I would dig like this, like doggy paddle style digging. No. Oh my God! I know I sound silly.
I don't know. My Dean and Sam Winchester grave digging abilities kind of suck. I haven't had to do that.
I ain't no grave digger, but I like the grave digger. The grave digger is one of my favorite monster truck drivers. That's one of my favorite monster trucks. Is the grave digger. Okay, but yeah, thank you, Avina, said Tiva. I like that. Yes, it is weird. The knee is facing towards that hole, and the hole is like long ways horizontal in front of where it was sitting. It's going side to side. Boop, boop. So, I mean, even when you are digging a hole, like you're gonna dig from if you have a shovel in your hand, you're gonna pull it back and you're gonna shovel it in front of you. Okay, so the hole is gonna be different. It's just not human. You know what I mean? That's just not like a human or a dog or a dog.
But I remember seeing it digging. It didn't look like it was. It looked like it was sitting the other way to me. What I remember, it seemed like it was vertical.
Okay, let's think about this.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong. We need to see the video again to tell, because it starts leaving a lot of nebulous stuff here. I'm sorry, it just does. I don't like nebulous too much.
Here we go.
There you go. Okay, now it does appear to be. It appears to be in that position that way. It appears to be in that position that way. It does.
Okay, its arms are going from side to side, I think. Not forward. It's not going like the way a dog digs in the ground. It's going from side to side in front of it.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question. That left arm, doesn't that look very odd? Almost look like a tool opposed to that looks very odd to me.
No, in the video, there's no tools involved. Unless it's hands or tools.
The angle you had on it looked very odd to me. That's all.
I mean, I've
seen the video. I know. I've seen the video. I have seen it. I know that. Yeah. Believe me. But I'm saying that it just looks odd from that way, and we only see so much anyway. But it's just, I don't know.
Well, let me show you. Let me show the audience this. Okay, so Thinker Thunker, I want to give him full credit because I don't want to take any of his stuff. Okay, without giving him credit, because I think he's like a really good go-to when it comes to analyzing the cryptid data. Okay, and so he took this picture right here, and well, if I can get it to come up. Okay, so he stabilized the film. Okay, and from stabilizing the film, he got this picture here. Now, if you watch his video, which I did put in the chat, he actually outlines it in red and makes it into almost like a cartoon, not a cartoon, but he animates it. Okay, so as the being, whatever this is moving, the red lines are moving too, and you can see that it is doing a motion. This is from his video too. It's doing a motion that humans don't really do. So what it's doing is it's squatted, and it's squatting and it's digging at the same time, squatting and digging. It's not laying on its belly. It's not propping itself up as it digs. It's squatting and digging. And you can clearly see it in his video. He does an amazing job of analyzing it. Dennis says you could only dig like that with claws, not fingers. Fingers. I call them fingers down here in the South. But yeah, fingers or yeah, I mean, because it would first of all, and if it was a female, like if it was a female, somebody in the chat earlier said it would mess up their Walmart manicure. Okay. I don't ever get manicures. Okay. I don't like manicures very much. My nails are fine. They're all au natural. Okay. But yeah, I mean, I planted a garden. Okay. I helped my sister plant a garden a couple weeks ago. And digging is not easy. Okay. And I mentioned digging is not easy, but even when you're planting a garden even if the ground has been tilled, it's one thing. But this cemetery, that ground has not been tilled. Okay. It's sod and it's packed hard. Okay. With dirt. And there's probably rocks in there. Okay. There's one thing that you never take into account until you start digging. You're going to hit rocks. And it's gonna be hard to get through those rocks. That's the one thing that sucks about digging rocks. Now, taking your hands, it's going to tear your hands up, tear them up. So, anyways, it's not that's not a human right there, in my opinion. Definitely not a human. And yes, I don't like tearing up my hands. But anyways, what do you think about the Thinker Thunker video, Barry? You've
Oh, he
watched
does
it.
great. He does great analysis of all that stuff. I think the two premier analyses people in these fields are him and N.K. Davis. It's concerning Bigfoot. Both of
Yes.
those guys really break it down intense in different ways. Like I said, I agree with you. Whatever it's, I think it's whatever it is. It's in its current position. It's inhuman. You know, I think that I'm trying to remember. Did Thinker Thunker do the body ratios on that one?
He did not do body ratios. I don't recall him. No, I don't think he did the body ratios. Not on that video. He did not. But he did do the analysis of the body as it was moving up and down. And he did do the red lines around it. So, but he didn't do the body ratios. But okay, so they were kind of looking into it like, well, could this be a Sasquatch? Could it be a Bigfoot? And I don't know. I think the consensus was it's something different. It's something
Yeah,
other. It's not a human.
I even energetically and spiritually, psychic wise, I don't get Sasquatch off that thing. But I've heard, concerning Sasquatch, when it comes to burial rituals, I've heard two things: that they put their loved ones underground and put these huge boulders over it. I've heard that more often, but I've also heard that they bury their loved ones under the root systems, within the root system of a trees, like close to the root system of trees. I find that very interesting.
Ooh.
I mean, have you ever heard that?
You said near the trees, the tree roots.
Under trees, underneath trees, like as
Oh
close
my
to the
God,
roots as they
that's
can get it.
that's
Yeah,
something
yeah.
else. That's something else that really sucks when you're trying to dig a hole. Listen, I have never hit a body. I swear. I know it sounds like I did because I'm talking about digging holes and stuff. I have not done that yet. Okay, but anyways, um, so when you're digging a hole, okay, not only do you have the rocks are the issue, roots are like I don't know why you'd ever want to bury something near a big tree because there are roots. You can't get through those roots, and if you cut through the roots, it'll hurt the tree, right? So that's interesting though. I don't know. You can't dig very deep if you're hitting roots.
Yeah, yeah. Or putting, I guess, putting the body close to the root culp, as close as they can probably get it, within reason. But then again, you're dealing with beings that can literally pull root clumps out of the ground. I mean, if it's me, have you ever even tried just to pull foxtail weeds out of the ground by the root? It's hard
Mm-hmm.
as hell. So can you imagine how much strength it would take to pull up a tree from the root culps? Like what we're seeing, like the one with those gentlemen that recorded the individual pulling those trees out of the root and throwing them. You know what I'm talking about? Thinker
Yeah,
did a deal on that. He did body
really.
ratios on that thing that was throwing those things, and weight analysis on the size of that tree it was throwing. I mean, you're definitely dealing with just superhuman strength. And that to me is one thing that fascinates me more than anything about these beings. Their ability to what appears to be super strength, also possibly even control the gravitons in their body. And that's not even a joke. When you start looking, how is it they can suddenly make, even at their weight, some of the impressions in ground that you've seen yourself? How?
Mm-hmm.
Even at their weight, how are they doing that? How are they moving it in a way that is even beyond the speed of normal animals? The animals are quick. We all know that. But I mean, like Whitey's Run, that's probably my favorite Bigfoot deal is Whitey's Run, where he does the backflip against the thing and then takes off across the deal and through the ravine. That thing is moving so lightning fast. That needs to be really taken in a turn. When you're thinking about, like, people laugh about this, but there's this book. I did a video of the speed of Sasquatch. I think I released it. Anyway, people laugh about this. There's a book that's called The Science of Superman. All right. And these guys break it down scientifically how someone from a planet like Krypton, from a galaxy like that, would have those powers here. or similar, and some of them that don't hold up. Like one would be when that individual walked, he would step at his gravitational, go down to the middle of the earth. Okay, he'd go through the ground at that density, but he doesn't, and he can fly because he can control his gravitons. And that's, graviton is what is a newer concept even, but
Really?
still, and I'm seeing, I'm looking down, I'm looking at Sasquatch. I'm not saying that's definitely what it is, but we're dealing with creatures from possibly another dimension, another world. We don't really know how that works. Just like on the craft I've been aboard, what does it mean when you bring minerals or substances from one universe to another, from one dimension to another? You do it through, namely, by shapes. And when you see those things, we've talked about this, like the cube on board some of those craft, the ones I've seen, is to bring some of that life energy from one universe to another. And the cube is one of the shapes they do it. The spear is another. The spiral is one you can use for this universe to put something in another universe. These certain shapes that are indicative to each universe. You know what I'm saying? So when dealing with them, what is it like when you get somebody from another universe, another density, another dimension? We throw these words around, dimensions, but no one really tells you what did that mean. What is that? Is it more width? Is it more breadth? Is it more volume? What is the other dimension really like? You know what I mean? When I was having these experiences, these beings are telling me when I'm trying to ask about that, they're telling me go to 16th dimension and up. Well, what does that mean? I was looking at our science at that time. They said it was only 4 dimensions. I see that deal when somebody says, the old bad guy started laughing. I think it was mean. Everybody knows there are only 4 dimensions. Anyway, but seriously, these are just concepts that we throw around and words we throw around without really knowing the meaning of them. Okay.
That's right.
But one thing I can say that some of these shapes, if you're going to pull something from one universe, one dimension to another, that's a way to do it. One way to do it. And let alone what the beings will be like from somewhere else. Beings will be like just from another Terran, or another planet, similar to ours, gravitational wise. Because it's obvious those cats are built for this planet much more than humans. We can't survive hardly at all outside of our concrete jungles. We're not really built for this place. Say what you will.
I can survive.
But you what extensively trade. But you take it. Let's say strip you down.
But I choose to be trained. But I choose it.
Watch, you're finished. Yeah, we told
you. No, because I know in the end it's survival of the fittest, and like you got to know, like, listen, I got a kid, so I'm going to know how to protect myself and how to survive. If it's just part of life. We should all know these basic skills, but the majority of people don't. So I may have a leg up on it, I guess, because I do know how to survive if I have to.
The coolest thing about you is it's like what I say about you. Jessica Jones is my partner in crime, who is like this tree hugger that's strapped. She walks around strapped big time. That's pretty much about you, isn't it?
I can neither confirm nor deny. Yeah,
loving it.
Maybe, yeah. You know what? I may stay strapped. I don't know. Maybe I might be strapped right now. Who knows? But I mean, but that's not all about survival. I mean, that is survival, but I mean, there's a lot more to it than just that. That's protection. Okay, that's protecting myself and my family. But yeah, there's a whole lot more to it. And it does involve so many different aspects too. Now, whatever this dog, I'm going to call it a Dogman. Okay, whatever this thing was at the cemetery, which I think it could very well potentially be a Dogman. Okay. I don't know. It didn't seem as though it was doing something for survival. It wasn't like digging for a body. There's no body there. If it was a dog would have known that there was a body in that hole, I think, because they would have smelled it.
Well, there's one thing. The thing is, their people went there after. They would have found if something was in there. So it was more digging, not burying. That's the way it appears to me. It was actually digging. You know what I mean? That's what the evidence shows anyway. If I was Sherlock Holmes or Data pretending to be Sherlock Holmes, you don't watch Star Trek, you don't get that joke. Anyway, but that's what I would say.
Yeah. Kathleen, thank you for that super sticker. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. That
You
means
know,
a
the
lot to
people
me.
over here are really smart. I've enjoyed. I've been
Yeah.
looking at the chat more than usual, trying to, and there are really some brilliant things being said in there by a lot of people. That's cool. So that's what makes your audience so cool, because I was
That's
so
really
reluctant.
smart. I'm just
When we
kidding.
first met, I was so reluctant to really start even dealing with the Bigfoot community, because they're more vicious than even the UFO community. And the UFO community is tied up, is about 92% BS people, okay? Straight up. I'll tell you that. Especially the ones you see on the platform. That's why the platforms is why you keep seeing the same information regurgitated again and again and again. And now it's switched over to SSP. It's all that as far as contacts, but you keep hearing that again and again and again. You don't even hear about the other thousands, millions of us that have contact like mine. We're
Yeah.
not getting the whole deal. It's so much brain entrainment in all this. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
anyway, just proof. I keep throwing this stuff out because you got brilliant people in here looking for answers. Some of these people that they wind up watching are not good people. They're full of crap. You know that as well as me. And then you meet, they can't do none of the stuff they're saying. They don't have none of the gifts that they claim. They haven't had the experience that they claim. And you meet them in person, you know it just like that. Am I lying? Am I lying to you though? These people are rapping in these communities, and right now you've got a platform that is abstaining from that. You've got real people in there, real people in here that are cool. They're not trying to just backbite everybody. I'm seeing so much of these communities. I get a little bit, you know, I get a little bit frustrated and disparaged at some point. You know, and I was like that when we first met. That's why I bring this up, because I didn't want that to happen to you. What happened to me? You trust a few of these people that are full of crap and they stab you in the back, or people in your, you know, I don't want you to go through that like me and other people I've talked to that are real people. I'm just a person. I'm not a guru. I'm not a teacher. I'm not none of these things. I'm just a brother that had these weird, crazy experiences that talks on the internet. That's about it. And in these conferences. But I'm just you're one, and you know, you're a contactee, a real one. You don't always talk about that. And you're not a materialist. So you're looking for what the consciousness factor of this, of the cryptids, of all this stuff, because it is a conscious deal. The modalities of it is conscious. And no one wants to deal with that and what's really going on there. Instead, we'll stick to the material stuff. And that being right there, we're looking at, what if that's something that's manifested from like satanic rituals and consciousness on sacred land? You know what I mean? Just food for thought. I'm not saying I'm right, but it's a possibility. We have to count this in there. And you see how rapidly satanic and evil runs this planet. It runs in these communities just like trauma. Trauma walks around this planet like a member of the population.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll shut up now.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. We have Rod Nichols in the chat tonight from Bear County Bigfoot. What's up, Rod? Thank you so much for being here. That is a very sweet comment. I try to keep it real, man. I try to keep it real.
Where's Bear County at? Where's Bear County at?
Yes, in Texas, right? Like is it near Austin, maybe? I don't know. It's in Tejas.
Man, okay. Bexar County Bigfoot.
Bear.
Is that near Paris, Texas? I hear about Paris so much and the habitations that were done in Paris. Yeah,
a lot of cryptids out there in that area. Including there's like a lot of goat men out there. I don't know what's going on with goat men in Texas.
Okay, so dig this real quick. Just a little cute, cool little thing that happened to me. This was about several years ago, and it was while Journey to Truth were doing their first conference. All right, it was during that time. My oldest brother, he's 67. He's much older than I, almost 68. He was playing one of his jazz gigs down at the local cigar bar. So I went down there, and my other brother showed up. And he never goes out, does anything. He's there, and my brothers are very tall. One is 6'6", almost 6'7", the other 6'5". Not like me. Anyway, but he's sitting at the table with this Caucasian dude who's pretty tall. He's got to be pushing about 6'4", 6'5". He's pretty tall too. And they're sitting there just talking, you know, and I wound up rapping with them. And this cat this guy starts telling me that he sells like wind turbines or solar, something he does. He travels all over. And he started talking about Texas. And he goes all through Texas. So I asked about Paris, Texas. And he started telling me how woods it is, woodsy and all that stuff. And, you know, and he looks at me, he said, why would you even ask me that? I just screw it. I said, hey, you know, this is because there's all this Sasquatch activity. There's Bigfoot activity there. And he looks at me real weird, you know? And he says, you believe in that, do you? I said, yeah. And he said, you know, I wouldn't if it wasn't for where my parents live. They bought this property and it's in Arkansas and there's all this activity there. And I immediately started homing in and Spirit's telling me something immediately, okay? I'm seeing Tyler talking and the video that they did that was called Journey to Truth, Sasquatch Crystals, oh my. That's the name of this video they did. It's like a documentary, maybe about 45 minutes long. And they went to this mine in Arkansas. That's this crystal mine that people go travel to and take tours of. And they're supposed to have Sasquatch activity. And Tyler and Aaron had said that they were having crystals thrown at them on the stage that were hot after they were picked up, still hot. They thought the Sasquatch were doing it. Anyway, and I heard that the gentleman that said he met the 10-foot Sasquatch there, encountered it, talked about the Native Americans there all lining up and then turning their backs and chiding and letting him walk through. And the Sasquatch came up. He said it was huge. Anyway, so I resonate with that a lot. And this guy is here talking about my brother, starts talking about his parents' place. And he's talking about all this stuff. He said, I've seen stuff like rocks levitate there and things happen you wouldn't believe. And he said, they're Bigfoot there. They do exist. And so I just put up on my phone Tyler and Aaron's video. And I said, man, is this your father? And he told, yes. He started tripping. It was really a trip. He's like, man, I've heard about these guys, but I didn't. And we just got to talking and hanging out. He introduced me, email his parents and stuff. It was really a trip because I had some teachers I know from my city that were talking about going up there and doing a mining for crystals up there. You could do that too. Anyway, I just thought you'd find that interesting. That happened right during their first conference. Little did I know you and I would be speaking at their second one. So it's little things like that Spirit, is always giving us omens and clues. Anyway, sorry, that's kind of a far out story, but I think it's kind of cool because it ties in,
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's a cryptid story, and let's see, BCH Bounds. Yes, I have done some shows on Goatman for sure. I have if you go to especially my Spaced Out Radio playlist, you'll find I did a show with Jason McLean on Goatman in Texas. He's written a book called Metroplex Monsters. So check that out if you want to look into some good Texas Goatmen. Okay.
Did you say Metroplex?
Metroplex Monsters. Yes, that's his book.
Metroplex was the city of the Transformers. Metroplex, the city transformed it. Yeah, a city transformer. That's pretty cool. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, there's an exorbitant amount of goatmen in Texas. I don't know why. And I know this is kind of off topic because we've been talking about we've been talking about this Dogman today. But David Pardue was in the chat. You guys remember David from my show Saturday night, talking about the reptilian and the portal in his backyard. And he had sent me some messages today about a newspaper clip that his former mother-in-law had at her house. They lived in West Virginia. And there was a time where apparently some kind of creature, like a 10-foot tall creature that I think he said it looked like a Bigfoot, but it had goat legs on it. Which showed up in the town and somebody shot it or something. And I guess they exterminated it, I guess you could say. And somebody came in and like tried to take the body away. I guess it was like the government or something. They put it on the bed of a train, I think is what he was saying. Maybe I'll bring him back on the show. We'll talk about it. He said they actually had pictures of it. They had pictures of it, and the men and the people in the town got to go and see it. They had pictures of it in their newspaper, and people actually touched it and saw it firsthand. And it looked like basically like a goat man, Sasquatch.
What happened to the body? What happened to the body?
Well, they took it away in a train car.
Who's they? The
It was
Smithsonian?
never seen again. Oh, this was back. I think he said the 40s, maybe. I don't know. Maybe if he's still in the chat, I'm sure he can type it. If you're still in here. I think it would be nice to talk about that today.
Question.
Yeah.
During that show and everything, and you too, do you feel, even outside of like Goatman and Pan type of thing, do you feel is the Goatman satanic, evil, dark? What do you feel?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It depends. I mean, okay, the only time I've ever done like a remote viewing target that involved a goat man was actually the Jersey Devil. And well, that's not the only time. Okay, because goat man has come up in my data before when I was given coordinates. Like these are all blind targets. And I actually came up with a goat man. This is like a private one. I can't really talk about it, but it was where somebody had been attacked and they thought they had been abducted by aliens. And I was given the coordinates of where the attack happened. Okay, and the night, the time, the date, and just given those coordinates. And that was my target. Okay, and what I picked up on was a goat man, basically. It was Pan. I wrote down Pan. And it was attacking him. But here's the thing. It turns out there's a particular, I'm not going to be calling people out, but there's a particular guy who and his team had made a video and made a movie. And apparently they were conjuring Pan in this movie. And it had to do with Bigfoot too. Okay. But they were conjuring Pan from what he told me later, because he was shocked at the data. But they were conjuring Pan. And it was kind of, I'm not going to say they're satanic because I don't know their background, but conjuring something using dark magic and rituals during the movie, where everybody involved who's watching this movie becomes part of that ritual, by the way, with or without their knowledge. This guy, his life kind of went down the tubes a little bit after he experienced that. And I do believe that data didn't involve Pan. And he was like, oh my God, I never even thought about that. I had just watched a movie where Pan was conjured in a ritual. Okay. And so maybe it is. I don't know, Barry. That's a good question.
I've always heard, especially Pan, associated with trickery and negative things normally, but also being of nature. But I mean, I don't know. When you look at, there were jokes in Star Trek about the Vulcans being the origin of this thing of Pan. Anyway.
Pam.
You know, you just had another thing up from somebody that was cool name, Luana. I've known somebody in my life named Luana. It was really cool. And they said they lived in Paris or they'd been in Paris, and they talked about Sasquatch crossing the street from a military base. Is that what they said on that comment? That's pretty interesting.
Hold on, I'm gonna try to
I've always
find
wanted to
it.
meet people that live there or live in that area. What is it like? I mean, it seems like it must just be out of control there with Sasquatch activity. Because I'm sure that most of the stuff that okay, I'll just say it. I don't want this is a community here. When I know that most of the stuff that MK Davis had on Whitey's Run and Tall Paul and those videos like that taken in the mirrors reverse were done in Paris, Texas at that habituation. And then you had other Bigfooters that found out what those people were doing and went out there and started hoaxing them. So that is how Bigfoot came. Tom Pallett told me that. Now that shows you how, oh boy, where's Michigan Rob? Tom Powell. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, it shows you how the Bigfoot community seems to be its own enemy sometimes, its own worst enemy, you know? I mean, that was good work being done out there. And now a lot of that stuff there, because MK has said that there's more videos and more evidence they had that even he didn't get to put out. That's too bad, you know? It really is.
Oh yeah, I love MK, by the way. MK is awesome. I got to meet him at the East Alabama Bigfoot Town Hall. And gosh, that was the best presentation on Bigfoot I have ever seen in my entire career. And I call it a career. It's not like I'm getting paid for this. Okay. My entire hobby career, you know.
Well, I'll tell you, that's one person I'd like to meet in person. You're very fortunate. I'd like to meet Ron Moorhead too. I think that'd be cool.
Oh yeah, I hung out with Ron not too long ago too. So I'm a lucky gal, definitely lucky gal.
One of those times I was sitting with Tom, he's like, "Oh, I know MK. You want to talk to him?" He called him on the phone, but he didn't answer. That thing. He goes, "Oh, he's great, man." I was like, "Wow, I really respect that cat."
Okay, Luana. Hey, Luana. She's saying, okay, so it was the junction of Highway 82. Head down to where we couldn't see it. Head on all. Its head was. You couldn't see its head. It was on all fours and lumbered like a Chinese dragon in a parade. Only way to describe its movement. Whoa. That's
On
really
all
cool.
four. What color was it, Luana?
Yeah, what color was it? Okay, so there was a report not too long ago, a couple of years ago, of a couple called into the 911 center in the county where I lived, and they said that they had just hit a werewolf. Okay, and stuff. So I don't know. I hear about these things getting hit sometimes. Okay, like Bigfoot, Dogman, whatever, getting hit by cars. Now they thought they had hit a dog, but they said it got up and it ran off on two legs. Okay, so interesting stuff, and these things do move, and we've been talking about that a lot lately. Is how these cryptids move. It's not natural, right? It's not natural in the sense of like anything that we're familiar with. But I like that about the Chinese dragon, Luana. That's a cool way to describe that. I like that.
One of my brothers is he's basically like the fiber optics cable man. Okay, and he tells me one day, he says, "Man, I was working on this lady's house, and she kept looking at me, and she said, 'Man, you look like the guy who talks about Bigfoot and all that weird stuff.'" And he said, "That's my brother." And she started telling him, she said, "I don't think that whole Bigfoot thing is a joke." And he said, "Why is that?" And she said that they have some type of a cabin in Colorado, and that they go there on whatever season. The last time they were there, that one of their kids said that they seen a Bigfoot up there, and she's thinking, "Oh yeah, right." And when they're leaving, they have to, as he described it, they have to drive down this trail kind of through this bridge and then hit the highway or whatever. And when they just get outside of this bridge, she says that this Sasquatch comes running out of the bushes from the hill and then jumps over their station wagon. And the way she described to my brother is this thing jumping over was like Edwin Moses, but then it does a dive roll when it lands and rolls a somerset roll and jumps up and takes off into the thing. And the way she described it, she said it was so huge, but she said it looked like it was showing off.
Oh, it did.
And that's somebody that didn't believe in that at all. So that's you said stuff like that, and she said, "I've never told anybody about it, except for you now, and our family knows about it." She said that's why I watched that stuff, and how she recognized me from doing stuff talking about this. You know what I mean? So it's just real interesting how many people in our population have had experiences with this and never ever say anything. I think silence is our worst adversary.
Yeah.
Because what people say you're crazy.
You're talking to the girl who didn't go public for over 10 years with my research and stuff. And I still don't talk about all my research, but it's because it wasn't widely accepted to be a Bigfoot field researcher 10 years ago. It just wasn't. 15 years ago, however long it was. Steve Wolf, this is an interesting comment. There's a series called Hellier, 2 seasons, they conjure Pan. Now, I just watched a little bit of Hellier recently because I was given, this is out of Kentucky. Okay, this is based out of Kentucky. I don't know if this is based on a true story or what, but Bryce from Esoteric Atlanta had given me a remote viewing target of something that had to do with Hellier. I don't remember what it was. But there was there's a lot of unaliving going on there, if y'all know what I mean. Unaliving is the YouTube word for you know what. So a lot of unaliving, cryptid activity, UFOs and aliens and all sorts of stuff going on there. So, but yeah, if people are up there conjuring Pan, I mean, that just opens portals, right? It's just opening portals. So, I mean, anything can come in and out of those portals, I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You think you're conjuring Pan, you're getting you a Dogman or two, a werewolf, a Dogman, a Bigfoot, some elves.
Like I said, I advise people to start looking up. Oh gosh, I should know the scientists' names, but start looking up some of the scientists from MIT, especially them. They're talking a lot about portals, and they're way past portals existing and questioning it. They're trying to weaponize them. That's why we did those shows on that. So but when dealing with these portals and the conscious brainwave factor that's involved with them, it's very dangerous because you can be summoning things that come from consciousness. We're unprepared to deal with a lot of that. We're materialists. So you start dealing with something like that. I mentioned before on your last show, and I got a couple people email me over that. I said, it's hard to understand, like when dealing with the modalities of extraterrestrial contact, that a lot of these beings and this abductions, all these other things, but they're coming from consciousness, opposed to actually creatures that live at a planet or a galaxy. They're coming from consciousness itself, within these makos and within the Akashic records. They can still interact with with the brain waves of our brains. We've talked about that a lot. That's important. Why people need to understand when they're watching all this stuff that entrenches us with negative contact, SSP. And I'm not saying that doesn't exist. That does exist. Okay. I'm not discrediting that or people with experiences like that. But what we do need to acknowledge is that that is a very small part of the pie chart of contact experiences. And I put that up, Ray's deal. I think they ended up 3,000 some people. They did a survey, CCRI. And out of that, the 3,000 some people that answered it, you've got positive encounters, unknown, and then negatives. You've got the negative is like that part of that pie chart. And that's, that's why people were trying to buy the research from CCRI so they could change the narrative of it. I'm doing a video on that, and I can prove that. There are people trying to, Ray will tell you himself. He called me just last week. I said, tell me more about this. What happened? They were trying to buy your research from you again. He told me all about it. I said,
oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, how much were they offering him? Because I'm wondering, I would never do that, okay? But I'm just wondering, the only reason for someone to buy your research would be what? I didn't even know people could buy your research. That sounds weird. That sounds really odd to me. To suppress it
or change the narrative of it. Only reason. And he even told me who it was. He did a video of Susan Mann.
Did you already say it out loud? I know who you're talking about.
It's public record.
This is for entertainment purposes only, y'all. Who is it?
Yeah. Tom DeLonge.
Tom DeLonge, that guy from, is that like Blink 182 or something?
I don't know the cat. I don't give a damn. I don't listen to his music. I don't care. He's doing he's want to try to do that though. I'm sorry, but that's just in itself nefarious. Although I can't, Ray didn't say they were going to do this and that with it, but just the fact they were trying to get it. Why? You know what I mean? But that's because everything that research that they've shown does not correspond to everything we're told in the media. Even the deal with the reptilians. You've seen the video I did. It's on my YouTube channel under extraterrestrial beings. It's called Reptilian Questions. Okay. And it's just questions I have based on the first part of their survey. There's like 4 phases of that survey, the CCRI survey for contactees. The first one had a question about reptilians on it. Did you have a deal with them? Were they negative, positive, negative, whatever? I had to skip that one because I have not encountered them. I mentioned before, the fact I've not seen a 9-foot bipedal crocodile on a spaceship is cool with me, man. Or here on Earth, I'm all right. Anyway, but it wasn't what you expect to see. The positive part of that chart was very large. The neutral unknown, it was about equal, a little less than equal, and the negative was small. And so I asked him, I said, Ray, well, what? Because you have to fill out something on if you're neutral. Why? And he said, a lot of people said the same. He said, Barry, a lot of people said the same thing. He's got the heavy accent, I said, what he said? He said that although seeing the beings didn't do anything to them, it might have even been a positive encounter, but the physical visual of them was too much.
Yeah, so it's scary. Yeah. That's why we're trained in mind control on my teams. Okay, and it's not me controlling y'all's minds; it's me controlling my mind. Okay, mind control with the remote viewing. It's so important because when you're out there and you come face to face with cryptids, I was going to say critters, you have to be able to keep your wits about you. Okay, this ain't no joke. Okay, it ain't no joke. You got to be able to control your mind. And that's the same with even today with all this crazy crap going on in our world. To be able to sit in peace when you got chaos spinning around you all everywhere, all the time. It's controlling your mind. And people that are into yoga, I know Maureen's into yoga. She's in here. There's a lot of people in our chat tonight that are very much into meditation and things. I think that's so important, staying centered. That's right. What's that mean?
Did you say Maureen?
My girlfriend.
I think she subscribed to my channel. One of my things she subscribed. Thank you for that.
She's one of our moderators. Yes, Maureen and Gus. They're moderators in here.
Thank you. Hey,
Yeah.
you know, since we're just kind of talking, it's a little after hours, so I'll bring something else up. All right, I know I'll probably get booed out of here, but hey, check it out. Since
Okay.
we're talking about reptilians, there's something else. Just that since I got shadow banned and I went from getting like 10,000 views for video to about lucky if I get 300 now. Tell me how that works. But
No.
anyway, I did one that did really good for a change, and it was called the Black Reptilian. And what really spawned me to do
No
this was a
poncho.
regression I did. It's a regression I had done, and it's this individual was the individual that I mentioned before, probably in your show. That these things, no matter how many of those I do, I get blown away. Every single one, like I'm brand new. This individual was a person that came to me for a problem in their foot, running up to their neck. To me, that sounded like sciatic. I said, "You need to probably go to the doctor." And they said, "I've been, and they can't find anything wrong. I think I'm holding something." And it turns out they're the one that stepped on the bomb in Vietnam. I took them deeper and got their name, removed the trauma, got their name, looked them up, that name on the Vietnam Memorial, and there it was. Everything they said
Oh,
with 1 year
so they
removed.
died? So they passed away in a past life by stepping on a grenade?
On a landmine, and it blew up. And they described it to me. They said it hurt for a second, and I was just floating. They're saying to me, they said, "You don't understand. My mom was so proud of my uniform. I only served for a year. I just joined. I got shipped away, and then I died. And I'm not going to see my girlfriend. She's pregnant. I'm never going to see my kid." And they're going on about that, but it's the stepping on the bomb that they still carry trauma-wise into organs from in this life. We understand that not just do family curses follow us through generational lines, so can trauma, physical trauma, follow us through incarnation. Okay, so they came back for another one after this one. All right, and like I said, I looked them up on there, and it's so strange to see people quoting on there like this was my grandfather, and everything they said was on their 1 year service, their name, everything was just like they said, with the exception of they said that they blew up in 68, and they had him down on the memorial as like 66. That's like 2 years removed. That's not very good. Everything else was 100% spot on.
Wow.
But then they come back to do more work with me, and it turns out each past life regressions we did for those on Earth, they were a warrior like every time, all the way going back to Greece and before, and they're describing trauma each life, and then they describe this one lifetime that was a lifetime here on Earth of respite, okay? A life of respite. And they start describing to me a temple, a pyramid, outside of Egypt on a ley line, so many miles outside of Egypt on a ley line, that is covered and masked with black, basically Vanta black material, which is what you and Tanya had saw on the Alaskan pyramid. Remember?
Yeah.
That being there.
Yeah.
And I
We
remember
were describing that as we described that as obsidian, I think. That's the way I saw it, but could have been anything. Yeah.
Well, if you look up the newer metamaterial called Vanta Black, VANTABLACK, it actually absorbs light more than like any other material we've created so far. And I believe it was a material similar to that was coated over those pyramids. On YouTube, I did a video over Vanta Black. On Patreon, I did a much longer one, part 2. I'll probably release it one day to YouTube. Anyway, going back, this pyramid, this was this. It's a smaller one, but it's got the Vanta Black on it. It's over a ley line because it's emitting a frequency that helps balance the earth. And all the people in there, this individual described as being what, to me, I'm visioning as Essenes. Is that the word you pronounce that? Essenes? They sound quite similar to that. Okay, and then they start just talking about, and then there's the extraterrestrials walking around in there that teach us. And I'm like, what do they look like? And she starts describing these tall whites. Oh, great, tall whites. There we go with that. Sorry, you know me and that. Yeah, anyway, but anyway, so she described a couple others. I said, "Tell me about the others. Is the tall whites the only ones there?" She said, "Well, there's the little ones that are like the grays." She described a type of eben, okay, like a gray that's maybe not a biorobot. There's some of them in there teaching. She said, and then there's the one that this whole place is all about. I was like, who's that? Oh, the black one. But he stays in the back in a room that is, as she described, what those of us that like Doctor Who would call it a zero room. Okay, 0-point energy room that is in the back of this pyramid that he stays in. And she says he's a black reptilian and he never removes his cloak hardly at all. But this whole place is about him and balancing the frequencies of the earth. And when he's here, we can do that. But he's like an outcast from his planet. And it wasn't Draco. This is somewhere probably another galaxy. And that he actually has the ability to focus his thought to affect material like nothing else. So he's on a positive, and you've had other civilizations that tried to war against his planet, and he thought about them and destroyed them. And when she's saying this, she's saying that he destroyed their entire species by thinking about them. And she said, as long as he's on Earth, you have those that are trying to kill him physically, because if you have other regimes that come here, they won't come here, because if he starts thinking about him, he'll destroy them.
Oh my God.
That is heavy. Okay. So what does he look like? So he's black. So he's just a little bit lighter than you. Still talking about me. And then she starts describing his features. He's quite humanoid in a way. Okay. But he keeps his cloak on. And I mean, I never heard anything like this ever before. It was so heavy. And it makes me think of an episode of Star Trek called Star Trek: The Next Generation. Oh Lord, sorry, I can't remember the name of it, but it's these two old people, Rashawn and her husband, on this planet. It was just an acre, this planet had been decimated by another species. But there's a green acre on there, and this guy's dancing with his wife. And when he get there, Troy, the empath, she keeps hearing this music. She can't get out of her mind. And then this warship comes up and tries to destroy the Enterprise, but chases it off. And finally, overall, Picard figures out that this cat is the only thing that lives on that planet. His wife is not real. That ship is not real that was chasing him off. And he's asking him why. And he looks at him, he says, well, I lived here with my wife, and this Ushnak, he called him, came and destroyed the planet, just like I said. And then they're like, what happened? Your wife went to fight with him, didn't she? He's like, I won't kill, so I did not go. And then she died, and I found her broken body, and I lynched out in grief. And he said he was an immortal being from another galaxy called the Dowd that was surrounded by false illusions, period. That's how they survived. And he said he took human form, and that's when he came to this galaxy and took a human form, and that's when he met her traveling around. And they got married, and he grew into an old man. And she died. And he says, I saw her broken body, I leached out. I destroyed the Ushnak. And they kind of said, is that why you kept this a secret? No, you killed that ship? And he looked up at him, Jessica. He said, you don't understand the scope of my crime. I didn't just destroy one Ushnak or that craft or 100 or 1,000. He looks at him, I destroyed them all. Everywhere. Wow. All Ushnak in existence. And that kind of just stopped that whole thing. Picard's like, well, we'll go ahead and beam him back down, and you just go ahead and make your false illusions down there. And, they kind of keep dancing with your wife, man. Yeah. But anyway, I'm only giving that as a correlation compared to what this individual said. And when you get somebody that deep under, okay, and they're talking this stuff, and they're not into this stuff like me and you and the crowd is here. They're this for something else. They're trying to relieve trauma. But this stuff starts coming up. And the subconscious and the superconscious records everything, and so in that way, when we die, we go back to the repository of the God, the mind of God, and it takes a lot of our life memories, that life. And if you haven't done like recapitulation, you go and reincarnate to your next place devoid of life memories so you can work and improve. And that's become in our communities, oh, it's a soul trap. We're in a recycling factor. I started believing some of that too. And, and especially based on, I know we come in that frequency that you and I have talked about. When we incarnate here, we come in the solar system, we hit this frequency, the scalar net that electrifies our soul energy, and it makes our loss of soul memory even more. Then we get here, it impedes our psychic abilities. Okay. And that, and our gifts, our natural gifts. So that very much is a reality part of this too, but that is something that comes more when we get here, more in the third dimension, that comes into more here as it is a standard thing. As much as I thought I was a firm until I started doing a bunch of these regressions, before I started doing it, I was always a firm presenter that this is a prison planet based on these criminal, satanic people who run these underground labs you and I have been talking about, trying to blow up us on nuclear war, destroy our biosphere with chemtrails, fracking, all the other crap. You know what I mean? It's unreal.
Hurting our
Those
kids.
Those are demons that incarnate just like me and you, but they're running this place. And destroying it. So I figured this must be hell to a degree, and we're forced here. But it's not like that. I have yet to have one of these regressions. I've done a bunch of them now. For one person to tell me, hey, well, my guide is forcing me to go over here, or hey, the light is forcing me to reincarnate back here. None of them say that. It's a choice. Even the agreements they have, the agreements with the other souls that will be there in this place of reconfiguration and translation I've talked about many times. I won't go into that. But there are these other souls that will be there on the side of there. I've got different numbers. I've gotten 30, 21, 16, 12, 7, 4 different numbers, even 3. Okay. And it's these souls that they have agreements with to incarnate with and teach each other. And the last client I had a couple of days ago, they used the word contract. This is the first word they used. And I just asked, I said, is it a contract or is it an agreement? And they immediately go, oh, no, it's an agreement. It's not forced. That's a better word, agreement. They're saying that.
Yeah.
And what sucks is I've taken and I'll have them identify in their past lives and this life, those individuals, those souls, they can identify them each life. And I'm sorry to tell you this, a lot of the times it's the people that screw you over the hardest.
Oh my God, they teach us the best lessons, don't they?
Well,
I have some really good villains in my life. Okay, I've had some great ones. They have played their role really good, and they're continuing to play their roles great. So shout out to all the villains in my life. Y'all made me who I am today. Where's the trophy? I give it to everyone. I give a trophy to every one of them. They have done a great job of being a-holes in my life, and it has made me who I am right now.
By the way, the Legion of Doom had that thing underground. You know that? The Legion of Doom, the hall of Legion of Doom was underground. Anyway, but it's kind of a trip to think about when we're all blissed out in this other state, in this place of reality, this translation I'm talking, this other state. We're with these other souls, we're all blissed out. And I'm telling you, hey, Jessica, I need you to screw me over hard, like 5 or 6 lifetimes. Can you do that for me? And you're like, hey, B, I got you, no problem. And it was like, did again. I guess, okay, it is what it is. I don't make the rules. I just have to observe them, right?
Right. Oh, man. I mean, you know what? No. Well, obviously, you and I must have had some sort of an agreement to come here and work together and do what we're doing today. I have no doubt, I've always gotten the message that, like, I'm here to do whatever I've been doing all the past lives that I've had, but it's bigger. This lifetime is really important, is like the message that I've always gotten. And I never knew what that meant. I never knew it. And now I feel like I know it a little better now, because just the work that you and I are doing, Barry, together, and us having these conversations, man, just having these conversations. I mean, I don't claim to know nothing about nothing, anything, but we're just out here having some fun and putting it out there. But this is important. What we're doing is important. Whatever this is.
I used to think when we go a little over like this and I start talking about stuff and dragging you off the trail, I was like, God, our audience must hate that. But I actually have some people saying that I like the little after thing you guys do, because we cover a lot of stuff. And, it blows me away when I pull up, like, you and my's name, all the different targets we've done, remote viewing you've done that I've given you. It blows me away. Some of them, hell, even I forgot a few of them. You know what I mean? And there's some we've done that we've never put out, like SMAX 0727, which is that galaxy with it's way far away. Hubble saw it, James Webb Telescope saw it. It's new pictures. It's golden. And it's got this thing over, it looks like a golden arc. There's actually, because the redshift stretches it when you see the picture. Okay. But I kept picking up that they're like beings there that are affiliated with the beings I've dealt with. They're from that galaxy. I don't know how or why, but I'm picking that up, especially at this age when they start giving me information. I have to just take it and run with it. You know what I mean? So, when I first met you, I looked you eye to eye and asked, I said, Jessica, are you a contactee? And you looked at me and you started kind of getting like, you didn't want to tell me. And I knew you were. I could feel it on you. And when I got in your presence, I could really feel it. But I felt it when we were doing those little, that that big thing with the conference pre-tele whatever it was on
Oh
online.
yeah.
But
We should
I'd
do
met you yet, but I'd
that.
heard about you because you're doing field work. I was like, I want to meet her. I like the people that do the field work, so brothers like me don't have to. You know what I mean? not that I like nature and everything, but I'll keep my tinting and my stuff to a minimal. You know.
I like getting out there and getting dirty, getting my hands dirty and stuff. I do. I want to before we keep going. I want to say thank you to Poncho Zorsch. Thank you, Poncho.
It's a
I
nice.
like you,
That's a
like
nice.
you too. Thank you for your support. That means the world to me. I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, that I'm not saying I wasn't. I just didn't talk publicly. Like, listen, that was the first time I'd ever talked in publicly about my research. Was that weekend that I met you. And so I was not ready to. I mean, I was just telling the world or just the people in that conference about my Bigfoot stuff. So I was not ready to. I was not ready to talk about my possible abductions and things like that yet. So you know what I mean? And it's not even abductions. I can't say like I remember being abducted, but I just know that I've had firsthand contact. I have seen at least 3 ETs up close, very up close. And I'm
You
sure
saw
more
a
happen.
great. What were they, Jessica? Lay it on us. What would you see?
I have seen grays, I guess you can call them, and something that was very tall and it was wearing a robe with the hood on it, and it looked like a praying mantis. So I've seen at least 3 of those. Oh my gosh.
Hey, what?
Anti-venom, you live near me. Okay, just so you know, Anti-venom, that is where the Dogman sightings are in that county right there. I'm actually from there. Okay. So I need to get in touch with you because
Is that near
that's
Cobb
where
County?
it is near Cobb County. That's where the Dogman sightings are. Actually, right there where that waterfall is you're talking about. Yeah.
I'm glad you
Yes.
said that. Is Jessica really from
Yes
Cobb
way.
County? That's it, man. I see she knows boss
Yes
man.
way. Yeah. There's only one public waterfall in that area, and that's where the Dogman sightings are. Yeah. Anti-venom. Just so you know. Hit me up, girl. I'll meet you up there sometime. For
That's
real.
interesting.
Yeah.
You know, interesting. I mean, is there a underground aquifer there too?
I don't know. There's like an old like Civil War cemetery right there too and stuff. I mean, a lot of stuff happened there. Very rich, like Pickett's Mill battlefield and stuff is like not too far from there. A major like Civil War battlefield, of course, where all the bloodshed happened. You know what I mean? So yeah, yeah. That's funny. I can't believe you wrote that, Anti-venom. It's like I never give like the location away, but that's exactly where it's at. So keep your head on a swivel out there, okay?
So you saw? Did you see two different encounters with praying mantis type
Yes.
of beings?
No, just
What?
one. I've had a couple of encounters with like grays, and then I had one with that praying mantis thing. Yeah,
What?
but it was.
What vibe you get off the praying mantis?
I thought it was the Grim Reaper, actually.
You know, I did
Yeah,
a video I've never released called "The Grim Reaper and the Praying Mantis." I never released it. It's on Patreon
really.
only. Maybe I should release it. That might be a sign. Anyway, but
Yeah.
man, you know, I always associated them with that too. But when you start looking deeper into the contactee phenomenon, you find several people instead of like including that Linda Porter that Little Moten Hal always talks about that have seen these tubes and have been exposed to that tube technology that they call resurrection technology. And what it does is actually makes like a clone body, and they're trying to get souls into these bodies, or fracture a soul and put it in there. But it's always this cloning deal, and involving the praying mantis. It's normally the praying mantis that are the ones that are like 20 feet tall or so. People encounter and that say that they exist before each solar system, and they're actually life carriers that populate different solar systems, like kind of through the cosmic snowball thing. But you know, when dealing with that, it gets very interesting. There's a video I did on my YouTube. It's actually released, but it's called "Life Carriers and the Praying Mantis." And in the Uranta book, they talk about specific spirit beings that are called life carriers, and what they do is to go different spheres and initiate life. But they don't talk about what is the karmic or the reincarnation physical cycle of these beings? At one point, do they look like praying mantis when they get more physical? I don't know. It's just food for thought. But these things are interesting because you had the same feeling, the Grim Reaper. That's interesting,
I did. Anti-Venom, I'm so sorry your brother passed away. My heart goes out to you. And I'm sending you my condolences. But you did, Anti-Venom, you did end up where those Dogman reports are coming from and the sightings. The 911 center is getting in. That's right by a waterfall, where you were probably. The only one I know of in that area. So, interesting stuff. But, wow. I mean, we've kind of gone all over the place tonight at this point. This is awesome. It's always a good time, man.
It is. And I think it's good. It's all encompassing. It's more encompassing than just one subject sometimes. Because they're all connected. They're not the separate things we want them to be. Whether that's a dog man out there digging, is it a werewolf, is it a shapeshifter? It's all connected. Is it Satan? It's all interconnected. So it's not really going around.
I would not have had those ET encounters that I remember had I not been doing Bigfoot field research. Okay, so I think they both, all 2 or 3 encounters that I've had, they all stemmed from me being out in the field and having encounters out in the field, and they came into my house. Okay, so for whatever reason, and here's the thing, like, did they follow me, or had I always had these encounters? I just was not aware of them. That's the question.
Well, they're following you always. They've always been following you. That's the, if you feel like, I can only say for me, I always felt like I was chasing this stuff because this weird stuff would happen to me, like, kind of pretty frequently, but not all the time. So I was chasing, trying to find out what was it, what's going on. Gotta learn it, gotta master it. And then in reality, it's chasing me around. And then it started at a certain point, it overtook my life to where I couldn't think about anything else but all this weird crap, spaceships and UFOs, extraterrestrials, and where they're from other dimensions, or they're from other planets, looking to see everybody. Then you see Travis Walton. Oh no, that's not right. That's not me. Well, who looks like me? Barney Hill. Oh no, and that's not like me. That's not what happened to me exactly. You keep going on that, but it becomes all consuming. That it becomes consuming of your awareness and perception anyway. Especially when it goes out of the box of what we normally think of.
Right, and when I was having those experiences, like I've grown up my entire life having paranormal encounters and stuff. So like I've never been terrified of this stuff because I'm just kind of used to it, which makes me wonder, like, well, had I been seeing these things forever and I just didn't remember, because I wasn't scared. I was never scared when I saw any of this stuff. I just remember like waking up and I'm just sitting there staring at these things. And I'm like, okay, well, that's weird. That's weird. What am I looking at? Like, you're just kind of discombobulated a little bit. You're trying to figure out, like, and I've been taught by the head of one of my teams, like, when you wake up and if you're having like a night terror, if you can't move, there are ways to check to see if you're dreaming or not. Okay. And one of those ways involved moving my finger. Okay. And like, especially if you can't move, if like you wake up and your eyes are open but you can't move. Okay. Like tap your finger, tap your pinky finger or your index finger or just any of your fingers. Start tapping. Okay. Even if you can't move at all, but you can usually, if you focus, you can start tapping your finger and then you can start moving a little bit more of your body and stuff. But that's how you'll know, That's how I knew. I was like, I'm not dreaming this. I was like, I'm not sure. I'm looking at this right now. And it's hard. It felt like I had a ton of bricks on my head where I couldn't move, but I was moving. I was still moving. And I'm sure like if anybody were in there, they could have heard me like trying to scream. I think I was trying to like scream or talk or something. Cause I do remember that too. I was just kind of like trying to force some noise out of my mouth to be like, somebody. But yeah, it's just a weird thing. It's really odd, when you have encounters like that. You never know how you're going to react, and then you look back on it, and you're like, well, dang, what the heck was that? Was that a dream? And like you want to tell yourself that was a dream, but that wasn't a dream. What I encountered was not a dream.
See, for me, there's two two types of encounters, and one is those that are more astral, dreamlike, spiritual, or non-material. Then you got those that are physical. I was having physical stuff happen to me. I thought that was really common when I found out with True Ray. It's really not. Most people, it happens in dream form, but I know why now, because it's easier for us to deal with them and meet them halfway in the body that does not conform to these physical parameters. Okay, it's different. You know what I mean? But for me, I became obsessed because this stuff happened to me, especially when I'm with somebody else. And it's one thing I could tell you, hey, I've been seeing UFOs all my life, and I like get taken up or I like wake up on board these craft. That sounds like I'm nuts, okay? But then it's different when you're standing at a lake with me or something, or sitting by a lake with me, and these ships come up and you see it too. Then all of a sudden you're seeing beings, and all of a sudden you're standing there with me, and you're missing hours and hours of time, and you're still seeing the beings. You've got information in your head, and you're like, what just happened? You can't share that type of delusion. Is not shared. You know what I mean? And it also just disturbs your life to a degree too. You know, even if it's positive encounters, mine's is positive, but it was so bizarre, and having a frame of reference to associate it with is super difficult. You know,
it's hard to wrap your head around. But of course, in my life, I was just like, well, I guess it comes with the territory of doing what I do, and I'm obviously on the radar. Okay, just like Lady Raven Moon says, once you have your first encounter, they keep you in their sights. I believe that. I believe that too.
Who's they?
ETs, I guess. Right? ETs. Anything that's.
I'll tell you this much. If you meant like government, those of us that are like lifetime contactees, we come in here tagged. I talk about that Artron energy. They know before you incarnate. I'm talking about Big Brother. Human, they know they're tagging us before we get here, and then they start observing us to see if we're having contact, you know. And then when it happens, and all of a sudden something, you get a weird, you know. I interact with Susan Manwich quite a bit. She's super cool, and she's one of the people that I saw on board this craft when I was 17. Okay, and I don't meet her till I was well into my 30s through somebody else I saw on one of these ships. Okay, and it's the same one actually. And, you know, she talks about not feeling good one day and being taken out of school and being asked a bunch of questions and, you know, basically abducted by not quite Men in Black, but something quite similar. And, you know, it's a terrifying account. She's just as normal as you and me. She's not far out or anything like that, despite all her heavy contact experiences. When she describes this, and this happens to so many people, then you take this and step it forward. And we've got these directed energy weapons now that are actually mind-to-mind, brain-to-computer interfaces, putting people in a hive mind to where they think they're having these experiences, which are generally negative, extraterrestrial, SSP type stuff. And of course, it seems 100% real, but that's why all these people are having most the similar same experiences. When those of us on the other side of this, like me, we're not. Each of us have totally unique experiences. We're desperate to find something commonalities, as are these people have nothing but commonalities. That is a hive mind. That is a program of some type. And they're doing that to help hijack the entire contactee narrative and theme. That's what's going on right now. And it sucks because that does happen. And those people are experiencing that. Some of it's real. I think some of it is not for some of these people, you know, and I do feel, and I'm not trying to discredit anything. But we've got to start getting beyond that because so many of us are getting so entrenched in brain entrainment with this negative stuff, this SSP stuff. When you actually start interacting with the Akashic records and these beings that are non-physical, you have the ability and the will of power to turn it into a negative encounter. These may be more beings of the angelic light in front of you, and you're tripping out and you start turning them into grays. You do have that much will of power. We're not nearly as weak as we're told. I promise
we're very powerful. We're very powerful people. And, you know, and that's the stance that I take personally when I go into the woods. And I am, because I am under threat of encountering Dogman. I am under, and I say threat, I don't take it as a threat. Okay. Because listen, here's the thing. I know it can be very dangerous, but I have just as much right to be in those woods as they do. Okay, and that's the way I look at it, and that's the attitude that I have when I go out into the field. And I do have, I saw a couple of my teammates in here tonight. Okay, I feel like they feel that way too, but of course we have a healthy dose of respect, and you have to have respect, but also I don't have fear of like I don't belong there. You know what I mean? Like I belong there, and so I feel like there's a mute there. There could be, in my opinion. I mean, and this is because I believe it. I don't doubt it. I have every right to be there, the same rights that they do. So maybe that's a mutual respect, because I'm living what I believe, I'm living. You know what I mean? So maybe that protects me in some way. I don't know.
Answer down here. Not everyone. No. I've been saying since the beginning, between 70 and 80% of people have contact. I think maybe 80 to possibly 85, but not everyone. Not everyone. But more than what we think. Most people. And I would say this, out of that 85%, I'd say 30 to 35% are aware of it. That may be too high. Most people are not aware because it happens in the higher levels of consciousness, the superconscious, the subconscious. Very little of that happens in normal consciousness. Kind of like how we can only see in one spectrum. You know what I mean? On one nanospectrum we see in. So that's a pretty good point. But yeah, and then even at that point, at first, everybody's thinking like, man, anybody has contact experience, they must be special. I'm not special. And nobody that has these are special. We're all unique because they're different experiences, but it doesn't make us special because there's so much of the population that has had it. And, it's always, I've said this, I feel like I sound like a broken record a lot, but, at these conferences, it's a big one. I meet people at these conferences, and it's always after I do a presentation, they'll come up to me and say this, or they'll hit me on, I haven't had experiences like yours, and the truth is, when they come up to me, I can feel this contactee, this Artron energy all over them, and I'll just ask, I say, have you seen a UFO? Well, yeah, a couple of times. Was you like in a crowd of people? Maybe you could see it, another couple of people, but others couldn't. How'd you know that? I said, and then after that, they find 2 or 3 nights later, we start thinking about it. I was having dreams about either aliens or odd creatures or odd people I'm talking to. And they don't realize there's a time lag because you're dealing with creatures that are so vibrationally fast in the time that we're seeing them for just a few seconds. The information, I don't like the word download, but it's been transmitted.
I like download.
I know that's happening. Just like there's always a word that comes up every few years. Before download, everything was a paradigm. And then before that, everything was a scenario. It's the scenario. There's always a hip-hop
What's the scenario?
Okay.
Here we go, yeah. Here we go, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably their best song. Anyway, anyway, what you get in the superconscious and subconscious is so fast during that few seconds that there's a time lag, and it starts appearing consciously in your dreams, the contact experience you had, but a lot of contact happens like that. It's so quick, and it's a little subtle things that we miss. Just like with the angelics communicate with us, a lot of times we miss it. I hear so many people that hear those wind chimes, but there are no wind chimes around. You're outside, there's no wind. Where's the wind chimes coming from? Or these sounds? It's more than just seeing 1111 all the time, Anyway,
oh, yeah.
Sorry, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here. These are things I need to say to you and your audience. You all know this.
Well, I feel like I got to give a shout out now to my friend Dinko D out of Leaders of the New School. That's my buddy. That is a good song, by the way. That's their song. What's the scenario? Okay.
By the way, you didn't get any song with remote viewing this time. You didn't mention a song. I'm a little disappointed.
Nope, no song on that one. I didn't get a song on that one. I did not. I always get a song. But hey, we busted out the song tonight, so it's okay. The song did come through. Just not on that chart.
You've got a group of people I know that like you because you hung out with the boss man. We're all wrestling fans. They like some Jessica Jones. Did she really know the boss man? She said she did. I believe her.
I mean, I knew him, but it was just, it is what it is. We play G.I. Joes. Okay, that's it.
G.I. Joes, I was Hot Wheels. G.I. Joes, that's it.
I mean, I was so little, like, I wasn't like I knew it, like I was really good friends with him, but he was around. He was definitely around. So, yeah, man, this has been a fun, fantastic show tonight. And I know we kind of veered off into something different towards the end here, but we have gone over 2 hours. So this is bound to happen. I know, right? But it's all so connected, a lot of this stuff. And like I said, I mean, I don't think I would have had those ET encounters and I would not have remembered them had I not been into the Bigfoot field research. Okay, so I think there's some sort of connection there, and maybe it's just a vibrational frequency thing. I think it's a frequency thing because I think that like there are things that are vibrating on certain frequencies. Once you tune into it, you can see everything. Okay, everything that's on that frequency, and that's kind of where I was. And I also attribute that to the remote viewing training that I had, and doing those Monroe Gateway programs. Okay, and stuff like that, and doing the binaural beats and the gateway process and stuff. I think it does open you up. Okay, I'm just saying. A little pro tip there. Anybody wants it?
I just see something. Man, I haven't seen AEW in a little bit, Cosmic Joe, but my brother watches it more than me, and I've been tripping on Jade Cargill, how she can't wrestle at WWE. We'll talk, because I'm a Bianca Belair fan. We'll talk about that later, brother. Anyway, sorry. Email me. Sorry, I got to geek out on you a little bit, Joe. Just can't help it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, I'm kind of behind on the comments now. Oh my gosh. Thank you to my friend Mimi for being here tonight. What's up, girl? This is one of my old school friends right here too. I got some of my old school friends up in here tonight. Thank you all so much.
Hey, somebody mentioned communion. I don't mean to interrupt, but somebody just mentioned communion.
Robin.
You know, Robin, I've done a lot of work with Alexis Brooks, and I did a workshop for her that was over earthbound spirits. The week before I did that, she invited me to another workshop that Woodley Streeper did. There wasn't many of us in there, and he talked about these contacts he's been having as of recently, and it was really interesting, the stuff he was saying. Gosh, I can't tell you exactly, but if you look at the stuff he's talking about, his more recent encounters have happened about the last 2.5 years. It's really interesting. Check that out. It's food for thought again.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You were saying something, but I see so many cool things pop up. I don't. The chat goes by so fast, and you put it up. I don't.
Yeah, it's going well. I don't pay attention to how fast. Like I know I'm throwing them up there, and I take them down really fast. I'm so sorry, y'all. I know y'all are probably like, why is she taking these things down so fast? I don't know. I'm just going. They're moving so fast, and I want to get everybody's in, but I just can't. It's a lot. So, thank everybody so much for I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Oh my gosh, Barry, thank you for being here tonight. This has been another fantastic show, and I know we started off. The majority of the show tonight was on the Ohio Dogman, this digging into the cemetery plot. Okay, of an empty burial plot. There's nothing buried there. I have concluded through my data and my personal opinion now. I do believe if there is a real Dogman on film, I believe that's a real Dogman. Okay, and that's what I believe. Okay,
yeah, you said it more normal that time. You said it more normal that time. You killed me with that last time.
That's a real Dogman.
Hey, do you feel that we addressed that subject enough? Is that the real subject?
I mean, I don't know what else there is to address unless I bring Colleen on, and Colleen can tell us. She's the one who owns that video, you guys. So yeah, let me get her organization right. So Colleen Norris, she's with the Northeast Ohio Cryptid Research Team. Okay, and I was messaging with her earlier today. We've messaged before. We've kind of talked before. I have invited her on the show. She couldn't come on tonight, but hopefully in the very near future we'll have her on. She has been chasing these dogmen for a while, for several years now. Okay, so I think until I bring her on at some point, I think we covered it pretty good. As far as what you and I could do, I think we covered it pretty well.
Cool. Okay.
What do you think?
I just want to make sure that, because then we start talking about the other stuff, I don't want anybody saying, "Oh, I came here just for that. They didn't finish it." But I try.
Yeah.
Sometimes I start getting excited and chattering the chatter box.
We got it. We got it. Man, this has been great. So, I mean, I don't know. What's going on with Ohio though? Why does Ohio have so many dogmen? I wonder. And all that
Ohio
area,
is
Michigan and Ohio up
it's
north.
it's UFO active too. It's just an
Mhm.
active place, isn't it? Kind of like
Yeah.
Peru. You got these hot spots like that, just hot spots.
Yeah. Thank you, Damien. That's
Here's something
great.
I'm gonna throw out. I'll probably do a video about this. Why not? It's been so weird. I'm gonna take us 30 seconds longer. Ooh. I've been hearing about. I was very disappointed in the Bigfoot Sasquatch DNA evidence that David Paulides has not gone any further. All right, but besides that, when dealing with the nuclear DNA of the father's DNA, how that's unknown to GenBank. There's
Yeah.
another the star skull, the star child skull. The DNA of the nuclear of that is quite similar to what they unknown GenBank, but quite similar to the sequences they found in the Sasquatch DNA. Now, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Neither which is in
Cool.
GenBank, so it's not native to Earth. Okay, I just think that's real interesting because only Lloyd Pye really dealt with the Star Child, and I think he died, didn't he? So I don't hear much more about that now. But he's the one that did those the DNA testing on that. And if you look up the testing that he did and that Paulides did of the Sasquatch, the information is quite similar from the nuclear side. I think that's really noteworthy, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we're dealing with something that's otherworldly. Okay, it's not all from here, but I mean, when I'm remote viewing Bigfoots, when I've remote viewed cases of like Bigfoot stuff, the data suggests that they are part human. They're like half human or something. So, and I think that the DNA confirms that, right? From that
The,
from that
the,
study.
the mitochondrial DNA that Paulides and them got was showing. It's definitely human, but it was a Mediterranean descent. That's what they said.
Mediterranean. That's like Greek or something. That's wild. Okay. Well, I didn't know that. I don't think I've ever heard that. Mediterranean?
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah,
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Okay.
isn't it though? Isn't it?
That's
And when
yeah.
dealing with the extraterrestrial component, what type? Because I still believe that they've got this plant component to them, tree component. Maybe it's not the
Their
majority
hair.
of it. There's something going on there.
Well, their
And
hair
why
has
is
chlorophyll in it. They have
yeah, yeah.
chlorophyll in their hair samples.
I know Pilates has a lot of hair samples too, maybe more than anyone. You know what they did, right?
Mm-mm.
They took in several places. They took like UPS wrapping, tape wrap,
Bubble wrap?
yeah, wrapped around. Well, the tape part of it, wrapped it around the base
Oh.
of trees, and they were putting what he said worked the best for Sasquatch. These hotspots was syrup on McDonald's pancakes. He said they'd be tearing up some McDonald's pancakes, and so they put those up there and put it in a way to where the Sasquatch has to lean over and grab them. And when they touch the tree with their body or with their arm, it pulls the hair off with the sticky. And then they go get
Oh
that's how
yeah.
they got the hair samples. He even
That's
got
smart.
a sample from the guy in California that claims he shot a Sasquatch and has the DNA. He says he sent it to Pilates. Pilates got it done by that Texas robot, that crime robot that convicts all those people. All right, and it's got a thing called the oh Lord, I'm going to say this wrong. The Q410, the Q10. It's a deal that the automated machine uses to register contamination, and anything over 70% or over is considered not contaminated. That DNA sample that he had was 85% not contaminated. So why he doesn't talk about that more people don't hear about it. It makes me very curious. I mean, that should be the top thing we hear about, not just they're trying to sequester it like to sequester Melbourne Ketchum. We already know that. Don't give up, man.
Yeah.
As mad as he gets about people that criticize him, he better definitely get that information out there for the DNA. Take the heat, brother. Sorry, I'm just keeping it real.
Well, yeah. Well, I can understand because I don't know. I mean, a lot of people. I don't think that David Paulides is worried about getting attacked. I'm sure he's been attacked plenty, okay, by people and stuff. And it's all. There's also that whole issue of like the truth, not people, the certain people or agencies or whatever, like not wanting the full truth to get out there. So they silence. So let's just say they silence people. Maybe he doesn't want to become silenced. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hope he keeps going forward because the work, the papers, the documentation speaks more than anything. And that's what the scientific community is trying to discredit because that just ruins everything they're doing right now.
Yeah.
Okay. They can't keep this stuff sequestered forever, That's
right. Okay, David, I think, David, you're referring to that thing that I mentioned. I didn't tell the whole story behind it because I don't know the whole story. I'm going to have you tell it one day. But David, I mentioned earlier tonight, we were talking about, David said that they had a newspaper article out of West Virginia. I guess it was in the newspaper, but his former mother-in-law had seen that creature that had the goat legs. It's like a Sasquatch with goat legs, I think. And I think someone had asked, I think, Barry, maybe you asked, like, what happened to it? Well, he said the military picked it up, took it away. I think it was in the back of a train or something. So he said it took up the whole door of the train. Yeah. It's like he said it got X-filed. Like, it never happened.
In that article I put up on Facebook, that 1934 Organian News article about, they don't call it, this before the Bigfoot era started. They were still calling them Sasquatch and things because Bigfoot was started by what that guy Ray Wallace that put out many fake Bigfoot tracks, right? Anyway, point being, this goes back way before that. But in that article, they talk about these giant bodies that were zoomed from Mexico. They say it in there. And they made it like it was just a well-known thing. Everybody knew about it. Nobody's ever seen them bodies. Now, but this is real interesting. The stuff, the further you go back, especially before Sasquatch was popular, and start looking at those articles like that, the stuff they say, and they say on there, they're human. They're not even, it's not even a question. They're calling them giant men over and over, and and that's what the Native Americans, several different tribes have said that I had read, they say that, their tribe, and we traded with them, but they weren't good traders.
Yeah. They're just fair people.
They're not good traders. But then, what are you going to do about it when they're that strong? They rip you off. I guess you just got to take it, just walk on, So, I just gave you a bunch of fish, a bunch of food. You gave me a little piece of obsidian? What?
Oh my gosh. James Crusader, I like this comment. I would like David Paulides to come on my channel too. I think that would be a great show, man. Oh, maybe one day. We'll see. I would, he's actually was a Bigfoot field researcher too, just like me.
Yeah. Have you met him? Right? Have you met him yet?
No, not yet. Not yet. No, but yeah. Okay. Well, oh my gosh, this is another record-breaking show. It's almost 2.5 hours. We've been doing a lot. I've been doing a lot of like longer shows lately. I hope the audience is enjoying that. I know I do. We can't stop talking, man. We have so much to talk about, so awesome. Barry, do you have any final thoughts on the Gravedigger Dogman?
Yeah, I want you to get MK Davis on here. Rob interviewed him. I'd like for you to interview him too. Yeah, you met him. I'd really like to see that. I'll sit there with the popcorn the whole time, man. I think he's great. He's great. Anyway, concerning the Dogman. No, just that I think that all aspects we talked about should be looked at, especially the possibility of dark magic and satanic things, and that's got something to do with this, and the cemetery, the land itself, all the things we discussed. I think it's all valid, and learning what actually it was trying to pull up, or what it was actually doing, digging or whatever. Just very interesting,
Yes. Okay. Very super interesting. Okay. Well, I did make my statement tonight that I do believe that is a real Dogman. I really do. I know, Barry. think there's a real Dogman video out there. I think that I really do. It's really interesting, right? So
I'm sorry. I just laughed at the way you said it the initial time. The way you did was all dramatic. I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm gonna say, sorry.
go back and watch this. I'm gonna rewind this as soon. Rewind. I don't know if we call it rewinding, but yeah, I'm gonna go back and watch this after we cut.
I muted it so everybody didn't hear me laughing. I tried to mute it so that way I don't look stupid.
Were you laughing that hard? Oh my gosh!
Oh God, yes, yeah. You almost brought me to tears, man. It killed me. It caught me off guard. I was just sitting here and you said it real loud. It was like all dramatic. You're like, I started laughing. It's funny as hell. Don't get me started now, Lord. Anyway.
Well, I don't ever go out on a limb like that hard. I guess I never go that hard on a target. I guess like I'm just gotta say, in my opinion, this is real. Okay.
It's like we've been talking about for 2 hours. It's Dogman. You're like, I'm going to live. It's Dogman.
Show's over, y'all. Show's over. That's a Dogman. That's a real one. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. Jennifer Patterson. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for that super sticker. That is so sweet of you. I so appreciate that. And oh my gosh, I think Susan Fuller's up in here tonight. What's up, Susan? Thank you too for your super sticker. Susan's one of my teammates. Too. So she goes out with them.
I know Jennifer Patterson. No way your name is your husband is Steve Patterson, is it? Or is he named that?
Jennifer, I
know Jennifer Patterson. She's married to Steve Patterson.
Yeah. Amazing. Cool. Yes, thank y'all so much. That is very sweet. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Okay, everybody. And yes, I am still celebrating my 8,000 subscribers that we hit a milestone this week. So thank you guys so much for being here. If you guys are watching this and you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. It really does help out. And the more people that we can reach with our messages, the better. So please share our videos out. And please go subscribe to Barry's YouTube channel, you guys. He's got a Patreon and a YouTube. And that's just Barry Littleton. It's Barry Littleton on YouTube and Patreon, Barry. You have the best YouTube videos. Oh my gosh.
Hey, thank you. They're all short, but they get to the point.
They're to the point for sure. Yeah, to the point. And yeah, I mean, I've heard you be on other people's shows, and you'll be like, and they'll be like, oh, you're like my go-to, Barry, for all the paranormal stuff. So yeah, anything to do with like cryptids, time travel, UFOs, ET contact, they'll go check out Barry.
Oh, that's Jennifer Smashdorf. Hello, Jennifer. Okay, I know her. We've done some work together. Very cool. Very cool.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Thank y'all. Yes, it is a big. Yeah, Jennifer's got another name too. I love that.
She's super cool. We've done some work together. Very cool.
Big time.
Those people that went on a limb and worked with me, you know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, and Barry, you offer services too to people for like hypnotic regressive therapy and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah. I do readings. I do hypnosis over past life regressions, extraterrestrial contact, trauma removal, and especially earthbound spirit release. I'm starting to maybe call it earthbound spirit rescue. It's more like a rescue, like John Taffer, bar rescue.
God, bar rescue.
I think that guy's great.
Bar rescue.
I mean, Terror Bar Rescue Up comes on from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. here. I'm always watching every morning.
You should actually get a show together. That's like past life rescue or something. I don't know. Do something that's very much like that. I like that idea. Yeah.
Good. Because they're really interesting. You know,
John Tapper of like the spiritual world.
Oh, what's the other guy? I like Dead Files. Steve DeChalvo. I was watching the other day. He was like his sister up there talking to him about all stuff happening. He's kind of looking at her. He said, "I'm sorry, but I just got to ask. You said it was Friday night after the work. Were you maybe cocktailing?" She's like, "No, Steve, I wasn't cocktailing. Are you sure? I gotta ask. I gotta ask."
Oh my God. Oh man.
Interesting. Right. He says that no paranormal stuff has ever happened to him in any of those locations. He thinks he actually offends the paranormal and it runs from him. Interesting. They need probably somebody like that. Some of the places I wouldn't go in there. Anyway, sorry, I know we're done. Talking about Steve DeSalvo and Dead Files.
Yeah. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for being here. This has been a fantastic show. Thank you guys so much for all your support, for everybody that contributed in the chat tonight. I love each and every one of you guys. We had a wonderful chat. Thank you for all the super stickers tonight. And thank you to all my channel members and to all my Patreon members and to Barry's Patreon members and his channel subscribers and everything. Thank you all so much. And please come back this weekend. I will be back Saturday night with On the Hunt. That's my Saturday night show. Y'all come back and see me. And then I'll be at Spaced Out Radio on Sunday night. So this has been a wonderful, wonderful show. And I hope everybody learned something. And Barry, thank you for being my sidekick again. What's up, Barry?
Lawana Murphy. Yes, I have heard about a species that looks identical to the sand people from Star Wars. I've seen a thing on that, and there are beings that look quite similar to that, and it's kind of scary how much they look alike. Sorry, I'm shut up now.
It's okay.
I saw that at the end. It was too cool to respond.
We're good. I mean, we could go all night over here. We could, but some of us have to do things in the morning. So I'm not going to keep you all here tonight. Please come see me this weekend, okay? And Barry, I guess everybody go subscribe to Barry's channel. Barry, thank you so much for being here. You're a wealth of knowledge. All right, I'll see you later. You guys have a wonderful night, and I'll see y'all this weekend. Stay safe out there, y'all. Bye.